Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Cleave to Antiquity. My name is Ben, and I'm joined with a very special guest here today, Buck Johnson. What's going on, brother?
Ben, good to see you, man. I'm happy to be here. And to answer, if people can see the comments, my guy, the Elite, is saying, do I stay here and watch Buck or go to Counterflow and watch Buck? Because I'm on here, Counterflow will not be premiering tonight till 9 p.m. Central Time. And I did that so we could stack all of this together. I can't compete with myself, right?
I mean, you could. It just might not work. I don't know.
Right.
But appreciate you coming on the show. You know, last time I saw you, I was on your side of things, and we were talking about, my kind of story diving into Orthodoxy. What have you been up to?
I have been ramping up mentally and spiritually prepping myself for Lent, which is one of those sort of double-edged swords. Like, oh, I need this. This will be good. Oh, I'm scared. Other than that, work at the fire station, the podcast, and I've been doing a Substack as of late. So I just pumped out another one today. I was nudged into that by a group that runs my show called Dissident Media. And I was like, oh, I don't write. And they were like, just think about it. Just get some stuff out there, whatever. And as soon as I started, all this stuff starts flowing from my brain to either my notepad on my phone or a pen to paper, old school. And now I've been enjoying it. So that's what I've been up to.
Well, that sounds awesome, man. Yeah, I've thought about maybe doing a Substack at some point. I just do not have the time at all. That's ironic because I was just telling you I was playing a game earlier today, but I could squeeze it in somewhere between everything else. But
we need those moments of relaxation and turning your mind off, like playing a game or something like that. It would be the same as me watching WWE or football or something. People say, oh, bread and circuses. You can't be turned mentally on and constantly thinking and worrying and looking and researching all the time. Bread and circuses for me are okay sometimes.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. You got to be able to unwind. But I appreciate you coming on the show, man. We got an interesting subject today for those that are tuning in. We're going to be talking about Zionism, talking about Christian Zionism. We're going to dive into a new video that just dropped today that is absolutely unhinged. Mark Levin put out this video that was basically like he makes it the case for America. All right, that's the title of his video. But basically what it is he's saying if you are anti-Zionist, you're an enemy of America. That's his whole argument. He's like, you are a traitor if you're anti-Zionist, which is an insane take to have. So that'll be interesting to dive into. But if you're watching this live, do me a favor. Go to Twitter and retweet the post where I said we are going live now so we can get some more people in the lobby, in the audience. If you want to support the show, I do have a super chat goal. Help me reach a super chat goal. I appreciate it. But we're going to dive into this video in just a second. I know backstage we were talking a little bit about the elections in Florida and things like this. I do want to touch on that subject just briefly. So I'm going to try to have James Fishback on the show at some point. Some of his people reached out, maybe trying to set something up. So that may or may not happen. But we were talking about what are his chances to win. Well, look at who he's going up against. Byron Donalds is propped up by every major Jewish lobby. He's received hundreds of thousands of dollars from AIPAC already. And he's already slated to receive millions from the AI lobby. He's going to receive millions from the same Jewish woman that funded Trump's campaign, and he's endorsed by Donald Trump. So you've got the big Zionist industry giants going to push him into this position. But what is he really running on? He's running on basically wants to undermine what DeSantis had put in place. That's the entire thing.
Really?
Oh yeah.
He wants to undermine DeSantis.
Yeah, he wants to undo the AI laws that DeSantis put in place, and he wants to reinforce the hate speech laws around Zionism in particular. So we won't be able to do shows like this in Florida if Byron wins, pretty much.
Wow! So he's endorsed by AIPAC and AIPAC. What a combination!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's really the nightmare candidate. To be honest, I mean, to be completely honest, if Fishback doesn't win, the primary, I don't know if it's going to be worth it for conservatives to vote conservative in Florida next election cycle. Byron Donalds might be worse than whatever Democrat candidate they put in front of us. Just completely honest. I mean, he might be worse. My fear is if Byron Donalds wins, what is going to happen is we're going to slip back into pre-COVID area restrictions where you can't talk about nothing. You're going to be censored left and right. Like you could lose your job for saying ABC 1, 2, 3. And I'm pretty fast and loose with talking about, you know, dispensationalism, you know, the Israel, all of this type of stuff. I mean, they would shut me down in a heartbeat. So it might be safer doing one election cycle of a Democratic candidate than having Byron Donalds in, because he's going to turn it into a kind of a nanny state type deal.
Right. And whatever the Democratic nominee would do, who I don't know who it is, but as strange as it sounds, sometimes you're better off dealing with that sort of thing and sort of supporting the backlash that comes to that. Because when a backlash against a Zionist Republican, who's the backlash, right? A Democrat? No. And so I would almost prefer the backlash to a leftist in that situation.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That'd be a tough spot to be in. I mean, I've never voted Democrat ever. So
neither have I.
This would be a tough decision to make. But Byron Donalds honestly scares me with some of the stuff that he's wanting to push forward. He was back when the whole George Floyd thing was going on. He was saying like, you're not an American if you know. he was like saying all the kind of crazy stuff. He's like, rest in peace, George Floyd, rest in power, you know.
Oh no.
Like, okay. You know, all this type of stuff. So I don't know, man. This guy seems like a nightmare candidate. If Fishback doesn't win, Florida's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Welcome to Texas, Floridians. Come on this way.
Yeah. No. Well, you know, we'll send all the New Yorkers that Florida over to you guys. Right. You can have the New Yorkers.
Well, they got to go back to New York. They've got a communist mayor, or socialist mayor now, so they should be loving it going up there.
That's right. You get the Muslim communist mayor.
Yes.
And now the Roman Catholic Church up there has Archbishop Hicks, the new Lispy Archbishop. Have you seen his videos?
No.
He's like, it's funny. All the trads were freaking out. They're like, this guy. No, they gave us this guy. So the way that he talks, I mean, it kind of gives away. Yeah. It gives a lot away. But he's like, I love your New York pizza. It's so good. And your sports teams. Like that's come to find out his entire cabinet before his vicar general ended up quitting his position. I report this I do like a segment on Roman Catholic News. His vicar general left his position, resigned to go and marry a man, and one of the other bishops, one of his co-bishops or whatever, went to the wedding. And this was like all of Archbishop Hicks' inner circle. So now he's getting promoted and all this stuff. So people are like, what is going on here? But this is kind of in line with a lot of the recent Pope Leo appointments. They've all been kind of pro Skittle stuff. So
right.
It's interesting to see. But let's dive into the Mark Levin thing.
Yes, and I'm excited. I've not seen this, so any reaction I have will be fresh.
This is new. So this just dropped. When was this? 7 hours ago. So this is today. And one thing to note, this dropped 7 hours ago. The guy's only got 3,000 views. He's got how much on X? He's over 1 million, isn't he?
I would assume so. I mean, to be honest with you, I was surprised when I just saw those numbers for him. That's smaller than a lot of people just in Orthodox circles that we know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The video I just posted yesterday is like 5K or something. Right. His video today, and he's got 5 million followers on X. His video today, 3,000 views. It looks like he botted the likes. Normally you don't have that big of a like ratio to that many views.
Yes, someone on his team did. He wouldn't know what that is, but I think this is a fascinating, just at looking at it from this perspective already without hearing him, the case for America. And it's one of those things where they keep moving the goalposts. So anti-Semitism has been so abused as far as a term goes by people like him that he's starting maybe to realize, okay, that's not working. I keep saying everyone's an anti-Semite. What next? Okay, I got it. If you're an anti-Semite, you're against the Constitution. There we go. That's going to start working.
Yeah, we got to rework it. We got to figure out how we can get these dumb evangelicals to support this. That's the way they talk about that. That's the way they talk about it. You see these leaked emails and stuff, and they're like, we got to get the evangelicals to do this. And they will use derogatory language. They are not your allies. Like they think you are basically cattle to be herded into a specific area. I'm not saying evangelicals themselves are dumb. I'm saying this is the way that they think of you. You are a commodity. You are something to be exploited. So that's the way that it seems like he's approaching it. Let's take a look at what he has to say though. Mark Levin is. I'm going to do 1.25 speed on this because
it's going to be real high pitched. Okay.
He rambles.
The reason we have free speech, freedom of assembly, the reason we have due process, the reason we have all these civil liberties as human beings in this country is based on the Declaration of Independence. Well, this Declaration of Independence, where do these ideas come from? Eternal truths, natural law. It talks about natural law. What in the world is natural law? And the rules of nature. What is that, the jungle? No. Natural law and the law of nature, they're distinct. But for our purposes right now, it combines with, it fuses with the idea of individual sovereignty and eternal truths. That this is natural for human beings to want to own property, to want to live, to want to be happy. It is natural for human beings to have a culture, a common culture, to have rules by which to live as long as they're just. In other words, this is the natural state of humanity. All this other stuff that man comes up with, whether it's Marxism or fascism or all the rest of the isms, that's unnatural. And the laws they put in place, those are man-made laws. They're not natural laws based on God's views. Well, how do we know what God's views are? The Judeo-Christian belief system. That's
you know the take's about to be spicy when they say the Judeo-Christian belief system.
Yeah,
this is just classic kind of like psyop here. We're going to convince them that these are the same things: the Talmudic Jewish belief and Christianity. That we're the same as the Old Testament Jews. Now you're a completely different religion, dude.
Yeah, this is a straight boomer slop.
Yeah. Well, nothing we haven't heard before so far, but what he says next is unhinged. Let's take a look.
That's how we know. That's what the founders said too. The Judeo-Christian belief system. The founders read what they called the Hebrew Bible. It would be on the floor.
This guy says, does Levin think Christianity believes Enlightenment, Masonic, liberal, natural law?
Right.
Take a look at what he says next, because he actually does kind of say that. Yes, he does actually say that in just a moment. But notice he's like, they read the Hebrew Bible. The Hebrew, he's got to like Judaize everything he says. It's like they ate kosher pizza.
Yeah, yes.
Everything you got to hyphenate every single piece. Anything that's American, kosher hot dog,
The Declaration debating or the Constitution, and they would quote from memory, quote unquote, the Hebrew Bible. They also understood that Judaism and Christianity link. They have to link. 10 Commandments apply to both. Abraham applies to both.
And Islam too, right? No.
Yeah, right. This is low frequency.
Right. Well, it's got they both have stories. They all have stories of Moses, right?
Yes.
Well, so does Islam, right? What about Mormonism? I wonder if they have some of these things in similarity. I don't know. Do they?
The Judeo-Mormon values.
Yeah, the Judeo-Mormon values with our space wives.
Yes.
Cain and Abel. Mormonism has Cain and Abel. They just believe Cain is Bigfoot.
Yes.
That's the difference. So the Mormon Judeo-Islamic values that make up America, this is what we have to cling to, okay? Yeah, insane.
It is, there's a fusion for governing purposes. And so they believed in the Judeo-Christian belief system and value system. They told us they did. Joined with the Enlightenment, individualism, and Judaism and Christianity.
Did you hear that? Joined with the Judeo-Christian values, joined with the Enlightenment. So America was found. Well, you know what? He's not wrong about the Enlightenment principles there, because the founders of America actually were Masons. Like George Washington was a Freemason.
Right.
So he's not wrong about that, but that's not necessarily something we want to keep.
Right. I don't know that he knows the Freemason stuff. And Father Turbo said on my show a month or two ago, like, America, let's get this out. America is not a Christian nation. It was not founded as one. It was founded as a Masonic nation.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the truth. We don't want to keep that part of our founding, though. Right. Like it'd be like we were founded based off of rebellion, so we just want to keep rebelling no matter what until the end.
Yes.
No, that doesn't naturally follow, does it? Like, yeah, there are many Anglican Freemasons. Yeah, George Washington, he was a member of the Episcopal Church. He was a very prominent member of the Episcopal Church, and he was a prominent Freemason. When he was inaugurated, he wrote a letter back to his lodge, and he said, "I will always do what is at benefit of the lodge of which I am a member." There are we've gone over that several times in this show, but yeah, a lot of the founding fathers were Masons. Unfortunately, I think a lot of that has to do with some of the support they got from some of these European nations that were riddled with Freemasonry. To be honest, like the French, so on and so forth. I mean, because they played a big role there, even in their revolutions as well. Kind of a little bit of a subversive group, it seems like. I don't know if you ever talk about the Masons at all in your show.
My priest is about to publish a book, and he's got a big chapter on the Masons, and it's the most interesting Orthodox priest version or explanation of Masonry that I've read yet. And so I've been talking to him about that. And there's a lot of similarities. Some of the prayers that Orthodox priests say as they're putting on parts of their vestments and whatnot that they wear during liturgy are the same exact phrasing that Masons say without the God part.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, we've discussed Masonry at length on this show. A couple of things to note, I guess, in the history of Masonry. Some people might say today, oh, the Masons aren't like necessarily a super big, powerful institution in the way that they were maybe even 100 years ago, right? Much more powerful. But we would honestly say that doesn't matter too much. If you've ever read the Alta Vendita, it makes it pretty clear. You know, the soldier dies, the war goes on. It doesn't matter if the label stays the same. You see the same Enlightenment principles carried on in Protestantism. You see the same Enlightenment principles carried on in the Ecumenist movement. You know, Alta Vendita stated very clearly 3 main goals of subverting the Roman Catholic Church. Apply this to any other institution they attempt to subvert. Dissemination of Enlightenment principles, liberal axioms, and religious pluralism. Oh, they had a 4th, separation of church and state, by the way. So where do you see that? You know, you also see that in the founding of America. So, I mean, this is a statement I want to be very clear on. This person says America is base. I cannot be swayed. I love America. I'm a red-blooded American. I want our country to thrive, survive, to overcome its Zionist captors. It's you know, that's what I want. I want what's good, what's best for the country. So, but go ahead. You have something you want to say?
I wonder if Mark is a Freemason.
Say what?
I wonder if Mark Levin is a Freemason, because to your point, everything he's saying is based in that sort of worldview, including individualism, subverting stuff, combining things that shouldn't be combined, Judeo-Christian values and whatnot. Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to know that. And I try to not research him too much because he drives me crazy, but now I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't see anything indicating that he's a Freemason, but a lot of we were talking about this with Anthony Westgate. A lot of like Freemasonic thought stems from Kabbalism. So
Correct.
there's a lot of overlap in some of the language used. So he's probably getting a lot of this Enlightenment doublespeak from Kabbalism as its origin. So they call Kabbalists call Freemasonry Kabbalism for Gentiles. It's Judaism for the Gentiles. So that would be more of a Gentile thing. You probably wouldn't find too many,
Freemasonic Jews.
I mean, you might, just to kind of leave the goy.
Yes. Right.
Henry Huge, $5. A lot of new heresies are just repackaged old ones. Very true.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's a recurring theme. That was one of the things that I think kind of pushed me out the door studying church history, is noticing a lot of the same arguments that you have to make as a Protestant to make your worldview work are the same arguments heretics make, right?
Yes.
Like I was reading, what is the book called? Examination of the Council of Trent, Lutheran text. And it basically makes the argument that John Chrysostom said something about, well, the church, is eventually going to be super corrupt or whatever. When it gets to this point and you can no longer find, the one true church visibly, then it'll be up to you to basically cling to the scriptures. And I'm like, oh, scripture alone. And that's the argument they made, right? And they were arguing against apostolic succession, right? They were saying, at this point, it's basically going to be subverted or whatever. So, you got to cleave to the scriptures. Anyway, long story short, come to find out, modern scholarship shows that citation by John Chrysostom is not him. It's a angry Arian guy that was kicked out of the church. So, it's a
repackaged heresy.
Yes. So they're using the arguments of the Arians to argue for sola scriptura. This was actually a foundational argument within the text itself. So big yikes. All right, let's see what else Mr. Levin has to say about Judeo-Christian values.
Do fuse with the Enlightenment. This is why I wrote the book on power, and I've written other books, so people understand how crucial this is.
Oh, thanks.
So when people attack our founding, the Judeo-Christian belief system, which is the core of the Declaration, they're attacking our country. They're attacking the very essence of our country. They're attacking what took place 250 years ago. They're attacking our history. So if you're Tucker Carlson and you're constantly trashing Jews or Israel, Zionism, and Zionism simply means what? A Jewish homeland. Muslims have over 50 Jewish homelands, over 50 majority Muslim countries.
It seems like he can't ever stick to the point. He's going all over the place.
And he just conflated many things into one point that don't make any sense. So, but that was playing fast and loose. I know he's doing that on purpose. So if you're Tucker Carlson and you're constantly attacking Jews, which Tucker's not doing, but then he quickly moves to, or Zionists, because all Zionism means is a Jewish homeland. So if you attack a political ideology that would be heretical if we ever had it in the church to begin with, which we didn't. Right. So it's heretical in a weird sense that's not specifically historical. Then you hate Jewish people. A jump that only like left-wing woke people have been making for the last 20 years about such and such favored group. He's doing the same thing, and there's no logical connection here. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the kind of commie tactic, right?
Big
you want
time.
You want to conflate things. It's Judeo-Christian. Oh, look, it's the same thing. You're talking about Talmudic Jews who literally hate Jesus Christ and will spit on you if you go to Israel, right?
Yes.
But you attack these guys, you're also attacking St. Augustine. Don't you understand?
Right.
Like,
right.
Don't you know by attacking Talmudic Judaism that says that Jesus is a necromancer boiling in a pot of feces? Don't you know if you attack this, you're actually attacking John Chrysostom?
Same thing. Logically connects.
Don't you know that? Which is insane.
George Floyd was on an insane amount of fentanyl and died because of.
Oh, think you're muted or something. I can't hear you at all. Oh yeah, you muted yourself.
There we go. Sorry.
There you go. Gotcha.
Am
Oh, somebody's saying the YouTube homepage is out, so that's why there's only 120 viewers in here. So maybe when that comes back up, we'll have some more. There's some kind of like outage or something.
Ah, okay. They don't like your show right now, YouTube.
Well, Mark Levin wants to shut us down.
He does. Wait a second. It's that guy that could win the governance in Florida. He's already working hard behind the scenes.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's Byron Donalds and Mark Levin are working hand in hand to shut down the Cleave to Antiquity show. The only hope for Florida, Cleave to Antiquity's YouTube channel.
Ben, did you miss the chance? Because they didn't in the chat. Did you miss the chance to tell me unmute, dude?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Unmute, dude. Unmute.
Got it.
Nice. What were we talking about, Mark Levin? Oh, he's just conflating stuff. Yeah.
Yes, and I was just saying, like, it's if a lefty would have said, if you're against BLM, or you say that George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose, well, therefore you hate all black people, you're for slavery, and you hate Father Turbo Qualls. That all tracks. You know, it's like, wait, what?
Right. Yeah, that's insane. Somebody's saying I could only get to you from my subscriptions page. You guys are true Cleave to Antiquity patriots. Thank you for working hard to tune into the show, even though there's an outage. People are like, they're like hacking the system. They're going to their subscriptions page. I gotta tune in. I gotta see Buck Johnson Cleave to Antiquity tonight.
Loyal listeners. Thank you guys.
Yes, I appreciate y'all. Keep in mind, we do have a super chat goal. If you want to help reach the super chat goal, I appreciate it. But I wanted to make a point here about the Vatican II debates that were going on last year. The Roman Catholics went on and on and on and on to try to conflate Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Do you notice that? They're all worshiping the same God. It's this same kind of commie doublespeak. And this is what we saw in each and every single one of these debates. And they would argue that, no, the Orthodox actually hold to a similar position or something, and they would take quotes out of context. Well, come to find out, very recently, the Moscow Patriarchate actually initiated a study. One of their seminaries produced a document stating that to say that Muslims and Christians have the same God is actually a heresy. This is heretical. This is a heretical belief. We do not believe this. This is Enlightenment nonsense. This is the subverted churches. This is the churches that have been subverted by Freemasonry, the Enlightenment principles, this kind of religious pluralism that they're pushing in all of the mainline Protestant denominations, in Roman Catholicism today. We don't believe that. So you'll see the same arguments that was
talked about in this book as well.
Yes, excellent book.
Yes. Yeah, someone said when Patriarch Kirill. I agree. Yeah.
Right. Good move. Good move. Absolutely. But you see the same arguments Mark Levin's making here. Same arguments that the Zionists are making. The Roman Catholics have to make to defend Nostra Aetate. You know why that is? One of the key authors of Nostra Aetate was a Jewish priest. He converted to Roman Catholicism, infiltrated, wrote these documents, and then quit immediately after. Job
done.
That's it.
Yes.
Done.
Yep.
So there's a reason all this stuff sounds the same, is what I'm saying. So let's see what else he has to say.
Nobody attacks them for having majority Muslim countries. What Islamists are attacked for is trying to destroy anybody who doesn't agree with them. They're Christian majority countries, ours as an example. I proudly underscore the fact that this is a Christian majority country, and thank God for that, because Judaism and Christianity do embrace the Enlightenment and are the basis of the Declaration. And
we do embrace the Enlightenment. He's really pushing that, dude.
He's Jewish, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I find his attitude like, well, Christianity is the great. Like, then why aren't you Christian?
Right. Is he just racially Jewish? Is he actually a Christian? Is Mark Levin a Christian? Let me see that. No, he's Jewish. Yeah, he's Jewish. He's not a Christian.
So the only way he can subvert Christianity and sort of appeal to the boomer crowd that are Protestants is to sort of say, well, we're the same thing, guys. It's the same thing. We are blended together.
Yeah.
It's a really strange tactic. And we'll talk about Hagee later, where I used to go, but I grew up thinking like, well, I guess so, but like, it doesn't take a lot of research once you reach a certain age and level of curiosity to be like, oh, that's not true. He's well past that age, I would think.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think he actually buys what he's selling. I think he sees the evangelicals as a useful commodity, which is, it's parallel with the funding that Israel is dumping in. The largest geofencing campaign in history is being used to try to convince evangelicals of Zionism.
Yeah, they flew a bunch of, I suppose, high-profile pastors or something like that over to Israel in the last few months to sort of indoctrinate them of things to disseminate to their congregations, is what I understand.
Mm-hmm. Have a comment here. Cleve, pray for me to find transportation to begin inquiring into Orthodoxy. I need help in prayer to be able to find transportation to the closest OCA parish. Not my hometown. It's pretty far. Everybody in the chat, go ahead and say a quick prayer for this gentleman. But glad to see that you're inquiring into Orthodoxy. Praise God, man. That's awesome. All right, let's see what else.
You can see what a fantastic society was created. So if you're one of these so-called influencers and podcasters who keep attacking a particular faith, Judaism, or Christian Zionists, who keep platforming people who attack Jewish people or Christian people who are believers, or keep platforming foreign governments that are led by people who completely reject the American founding and the American system. Oh, they'll work with it. They'll spend money on it. They'll try to influence it. They'll try to control it. That is, these other countries. But they reject it completely. If you're one of those podcasters, one of those influencers, a phrase I don't even like, but if you're one of them, you are attacking this country every bit as violently as Islamists and Marxists. You're aiding and abetting them. You cannot love your country. I don't.
So you're a traitor. You're a traitor to the country if you oppose Zionism. You're attacking them violently. Don't you understand this?
Yes, it's so. I mean, for those of us old enough to have lived through what 10 years ago, when Trump first won and the left went nuts, and it's like, if you didn't vote Democratic, you are racist and you hate your country. This is the same. It's so tired. And I assume he was against that sort of ridiculous sort of tactic back then. I know he was the never Trumper that sort of switched his colors or whatever, but this is the same sort of thing. They're conflating quickly. It's a lot of sleight of hand, quick movement with his words and platforming and influencer. And then you quickly slid in there who attack Christians who believe what? In Zionism. So and again, I've been taught this by my spiritual father, so I feel safe saying it. I'm not a representative online of the Orthodox Church itself, but you cannot be an Orthodox Christian and a Zionist. Right. And so saying Christians who believe in Zionism, that's a very quick sleight of hand that he's like, oh, it's all the same thing. Again, he's doing the same. And then violent. Remember, the left was used to, words are violence. It's the opposite of the thing we grew up with. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now it's flipped and inverted because they like to invert stuff. That no, it's words that are violent. Tucker Carlson's a very violent man because of who he platforms his words, straight out of the leftist playbook.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's the intent of labeling these things as violence? He's hoping somebody's going to go and do something about it. So
absolutely.
Really, he's calling for violence upon people who are calling out, Zionism, calling out the Israel first, agenda. This person sends in a super chat, $5. He says, he's talking to you, Ben, and to you, Buck. You're on notice. Mark Levin is the arbiter of all things patriotic and religious. You are on notice. Well, there was a point in time when Mark actually did have some power, and he would help get people canceled. This was under COVID. He was one of the bigger Zionist cancelers. So I mean, if we slip back into that, under you know, a governor like Byron Donalds, or who knows who the next president could be, right? Things could easily go back to the COVID era restrictions. This has only been one presidency away, one presidency separated from the worst dystopian way of life that we've ever seen in this country ever. So we could easily slip back into it. I think people quickly forgot what it was like because it was so bad.
Correct. Yeah. I like to go back and listen to old episodes from various people, even my own sometimes, from that time, to sort of keep it fresh, not to dwell on it or make it an idol, but to just keep that in your mind. Like, we're not far removed from things just a few years ago. I celebrate now, like, okay, I can talk about the jab or COVID or whatever if it comes up, and I feel fairly safe. The episode won't get flagged or removed like they used to.
Right.
But I don't know that that's going to be the case in 2 years from now.
That's true. Yeah. And my worry is that when they do make, because I think it's only a matter of time, like when they're going to, it's not if. I think if and when they go back to these kind of restrictions, they're just going to flag all our old videos and take us down. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to mark a lot of stuff, members or private or whatever, when they roll this stuff back out, I think, unfortunately.
Yes, that's why one of the reasons why I'm doing Substack. Again, Dissident Media got me to do that, and they said, "Mike's again." Substack is basically uncancelable. So if you were to get canceled on YouTube or whatever, you've got all of these emails now that are people that follow you, and Substack, for whatever reason, I'm told so far, is uncancelable.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. That's what they said about all the other platforms, right?
Right,
Like they
right.
had like Rumble's uncancelable, or, you know, what was the other alternative under that one guy?
Oh, yes.
What was it? Do you remember?
I actually I know him, and it's slipping my mind. I cannot remember it. Yeah, it sort of went away.
Right. Yeah, a lot of these end up getting canceled by the banks. Well, I mean, the same people who are pushing this kind of restrictions or whatever, you know, are the same people who are going to cancel you from the banks. So, I mean, it's all the same thing. This is why when they get information on you, it's very
Odyssey. Wasn't it Odyssey? No. Anyway,
No.
sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
But this is why when they get info on you and you become subverted, you start to see people who are usually pretty good on every other issue start bending the knee to Israel.
Yes.
For instance, Ron DeSantis, excellent governor. I love Ron DeSantis. He did a great job. Still doing a good job. He put good, good crackdown on the Skittles ideology taught in schools. You know, this actually helped me personally, because when my daughter was in kindergarten, she went to her first Scholastic book fair, and the book she took home was a Disney book that was talking about Transformer aliens and different kind of pronouns and all this other kind of stuff. But DeSantis had just passed a law saying that was illegal. So I was able to write the governor's office, and the book was removed. So
excellent. Okay.
So some of his policies have actually directly benefited my family, but recently they got their hooks into him.
Yes.
He's passed these bills where we're basically going to have our speech restricted, talking about these types of subjects. At least on college campuses, they can expel you for being anti-Zionist, all sorts of other craziness. It basically sets up. It's a stepping stone for another like COVID era government. So Byron is represented by the same lobbies, right? Same people that got their hooks into him towards the end of his governor run. So if Byron gets elected, it's gonna be a nightmare.
And you had mentioned earlier he was backed heavily by AI companies as far as funding goes. I mean, they could use those companies to quickly filter through any of us online and find out who's doing this, and within minutes, I suppose, they'll know who we are and they can kick us.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that Fishback was talking about pushing back on. He said that if he gets elected, he's going to prevent Palantir from having any government contracts in Florida. So he's completely against the big AI lobby that is trying to spy on our every move. So, I mean, maybe, hopefully I get him on the show at some point. We could have a discussion. We'll see. I know he's going on some big name podcasts. You might not want to swing by Cleave to Antiquity show, but we'll see. We'll see how
I was going to say that's pretty cool. He could come by. You know, it's like Tucker Carlson, Cleave to Antiquity. I've you know, making the rounds.
That's right. Next up, Tucker's coming on the pod.
Yes, yeah, that's our goal.
Yeah, we're working our way up to getting Tucker Carlson on the show.
Yes,
I'll interview him about his the demons that scraped his sides. Did you see that video? That was viral documentary clip.
Do you know who was interviewing him?
Yeah, that was well, I know Neil was involved in it.
It was John Hibbs and Father Peter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully that documentary comes out soon. That'll be cool. The Christianity Gem.
Yes, they're awaiting some more funding, but yeah, they're still working on it.
Right on. All right. Myron Chuck, $5. Have you seen Putin's recent remarks about ethnic Jews attacking the ROC? God bless you both. I did see that. Putin basically stated that ethnic Jews in Russia were attacking the Orthodox there. They're trying to undermine the church. They're subverting, which, I mean,
no shock.
Right. No shock. You're preaching to the choir here. Now, again, I'm not like some kind of Putin shill or anything like that. But I mean, if you say something's correct, that's correct. I'm going to admit you said something correct. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. And it's nice to hear a leader being ballsy enough to say something like that.
Right.
And thank you, Jason. God bless you too, sir. Good to see you, Mr. Miranchuk. And someone in your comments said Father Peter or Tucker met with Father Peter. Yes, he did. They were flown up there, Father Peter and his brother John and their crew, which includes Tucker has I won't say his name just in case, but he has someone on his team is Orthodox, and that person's very close with the Hears brothers. And the documentary they're hoping to put out here down the line is called Christianities. And interviewing people of various denominations about what is Christianity, what does it mean to them. Of course, with Orthodox people in there, no commentary as far as pushing someone towards Orthodoxy, but laying out various denominations and letting the viewer sort of go, aha, and have that moment.
Yeah. Well, when I was a Protestant, I know Neil was going to try to approach me for the documentary,
and that would have been perfect.
He reached out to Father Hears, and Father Hears was like, he might be having a little bit of a change of heart here soon.
Okay,
you might want to wait on that. So when I met up with Neil and Ruslan for dinner after a speaking engagement that he had. We were talking about that. He's like, yeah, I was going to see about maybe doing this thing, but it seems like you might be having a change in some ideas soon. So,
not to give anything away.
Yeah, exactly. It was interesting, but yeah, those are good people. I want to get Neil on the show some point soon. I love him. Him and his wife are awesome people.
Kate. Yeah. The dirt poor Robins.
Yep. Father Hears is good people. John Hears is good people.
Yeah.
We've got a good community for sure. Contemporary Compendium, good to see you. Get the super chats in, people. Cleve may need extra cash to leave Florida if Byron gets in. So true, so true. Well, you know what, dude? I feel like I might need to move at some point. I had I don't know if I want to actually tell that story, but we had something kind of spooky happen, security related. So yeah, who knows? We'll see how that goes. Some being a niche internet celebrity without the money doesn't necessarily, it's not a good combo. So
what a teaser. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Well, y'all are all safe, I hope.
Yeah, we're all good.
Good.
But let's see what else Mr. Mark has to say about our good old Judeo-Christian values that we all share and Enlightenment principles. We're all Protestant Freemasons, I guess.
Hear what they say. If you're attacking the fundamentals of the country, you, Mr. and Mrs. America, you understand this. You understand this. So when you have people who are among the most watched people on podcasting platforms, who day in and day out,
like Cleave to Antiquity, by the way,
trash Judaism, trash Christianity, trash our governing system day in and day out, push a Marxist type agenda, even Islamist type agenda, you are trying to destroy the country. This is the truth. And I'm going to spend a lot of time on this in the future as well. It's very, very important to understand this. Marxism is incompatible with Americanism. I just gave you a thumbnail sketch. Marx hated America. He derided the founders. He derided the Declaration and the Constitution. The people who would follow Marx in the United States,
good grief,
after 1883, but
is he about to go into like a breakdown of what Marxism is and try to conflate that with Tucker? I might skip forward a little bit because I don't feel like listening to this guy rant.
What religion was Karl Marx again?
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's mathematics or science or whatever it is, Marxism, communism.
Oh my gosh, he's still going on about Marxism.
Now this gets interesting, a little complicated, but very interesting. Again, more down the road. This is our inaugural show, 45 minutes. We'll do.
This is his inaugural show, so he's starting a new podcast, is what this is. This is the way he opens it up, by ranting about nothing.
Just what we've all been waiting for, a new podcast. Great.
Persist. The ideas are fundamental. You know, von Mises, who was a great Austrian.
Okay, I think I've had enough. Mark Levin, folks, Liberty's Voice, inaugural episode. I think he's just ranting about nothing after this point.
Rules and laws that apply.
Yeah,
he was about to get into my old territory, Ludwig von Mises. That's interesting. I wouldn't think that Mark Levin would even know who that is, but I suppose he does. He's about to bastardize the teachings of Mises too, I'm sure, but yeah.
All right, so we had a couple other ones that we were going to react to. Let me pull up the link real quick. There you go. Let's look at John Hagee.
Yes.
John Hagee, he's an interesting figure. Let me share my screen real quick.
My old pastor.
Good old John Hagee.
Knew his family. Went to school
Did you
with
really?
his kids. Yeah, I went to school with his kids. Went to his church.
Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know. You might have told me that, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
This is
my teenage years. My teenage years. That was there he is. Yeah.
Interesting. So you went to John Hagee's his church. You said you knew his kids?
Yep. Christina and Matt. I rode the school bus with them every day.
Wow.
And Matt, his son Matthew, every once in a while I'll be scrolling TV and it'll say Cornerstone, which is Hagee's church, and I'll click for old time's sake. And often it's Matthew now preaching instead of John, which is his son. But yeah, I knew Christina too. Used to have a crush on her when I was in 8th grade.
Oh man, what a small world. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool dude sent that $5 super chat. Fellow rock metal nerds need to watch Buck's interview with the former Danzig bassist, who is now an Eastern Orthodox catechumen. Good stuff. Yeah, I saw that. That's interesting.
That was a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. Danzig was like the band to listen to back in the day.
Yeah.
So seems like a lot of the rockers are coming around. I think Orthodoxy attracts people who are into the punk, into the metal scene, specifically. What do you think that is?
I have a few thoughts on that, obviously, because that was me too. I think part of it is that you're already sort of looking for something outside of conventional norms when you're into hardcore punk or Danzig, certainly. And a lot of times you're just sort of searching for something, especially with punk rock, because it was at one point so anti-establishment, and you've got other people that are sort of against the system. And I think when you find the church, if you have already been in libertarianism too, to some extent, which is common for that pipeline, libertarians to Orthodoxy, you sort of already recognize a third way or a different way, let's say, and whatever is the norm and conventional is a turnoff to you. And so it grew after I became an adult and quit going to Hagee's church. I became an atheist because I was looking back on that going, that is so ridiculously not true, all the things he was saying, that it was a turnoff. So I'm looking for something that seemed true unfortunately, I did fall into the new atheist sort of trap. And it's like looking at logic and reason and all of these things. And that I now know can be rooted in Orthodox Christianity. At the time, I didn't. But when I found the church, I thought, oh my goodness, there's no awful music. There's no fake preaching. There's no Zionism.
Right.
This is like real. I read Father Seraphim Rose, God's Revelation of the Human Heart. And that spoke to me much like when I was sort of rebelling against modern country and garbage music on the radio. Punk rock spoke to me. So I just sort of stayed. I'm rebelling against Mitt Romney and John McCain and John Kerry. So I found Ron Paul. And so that's always sort of been in my nature. And I think that's sort of common with segments of Orthodox Christians.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. What do you think about punk's evolution? Now it's something, it's
garbage
insane
now.
Yeah, it's insane now. It's all like Troon stuff and like
yes, anything. When something gets homogenized and sort of mainstreamed, much like John Hagee's version of Christianity, it gets watered down and it's taken over by people that don't actually love it. It's like corporate execs sort of pushing garbage out onto people they think are stupid, like Mark Levin's doing, and taking advantage and sort of trying to scientifically formulate, people are going to love this new sound and make sure you sing about this. Modern country is the same way, and I love 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s country, and I hate modern country so much because it's a bunch of execs in a boardroom like, let's write about a tractor. That's what our idiotic fans would like to hear, and just something that's going to make them cry because their girl left them, and it just gets watered down and fake, and that's what's happened to punk as well.
Hey, man. She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy is a classic. Okay. Don't diss. She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy. That's a classic song.
It's a classic something.
Yeah. I'm going to make that the new intro to this show. Actually, I'm going to, I'll buy the rights to it and I'll make it the new intro.
That might keep you safe for a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
this is just a happy old redneck show.
Yeah. This guy's an idiot. We don't have to take them seriously. That's what you got to do. See, you have to do a couple of shows where you're just really stupid, and then a couple of shows where you make the actual points, and you're like, please listen for real this time.
Subtle messages flash on the screen really quick. He's lying.
Yeah. You've got like the Morse code going in the background. I'm like flicking the light on and off.
Yes.
Nice. All right. Well, let's take a look at what Mr. Hagee has to say here about Zionism.
America right now is flooded with anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is Jew hatred. It's in our government. It's in our Ivy League universities, which are swimming in a sewer of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, my friend, is a sin. Sin damns the soul, and you will answer to God for it. The war described in Ezekiel 38:39 will be a Gog-Magog war. It will be a war very similar to the one that has started. It will be a war that continues and refuses to stop.
Somebody's saying something in the comments that's kind of pertinent. Let me see. So somebody says, we need to pray for an Orthodox priest on these big name podcasts. I'm tired of seeing Wes Huff on all the podcasts. Father Stephen Young, Father Hears, Father Trenum would be good. And someone says, gosh, where's that comment there? Said Wes Huff needs to be approached constantly and directly with Orthodoxy. See, that was somebody that I was, probably going to do a show with at some point. I know we were kind of chatting back and forth for a while there, but I think I don't know him, and I haven't had too much of an in-depth conversation with him. But if I were to take a guess, I don't think Wes Huff has really actually sat down and weighed all of the claims of Orthodoxy. I think he might be somewhat familiar with Roman Catholicism. He might be somewhat familiar with, like, he's a manuscript specialist. He's not necessarily a early church history guy, right? as far as the claims of the ecumenical councils and these types of things. So Wes Huff, you can tell this, by the way, by some of the videos that he promotes. A lot of the videos that he says, this is an excellent discussion on ABC 123. He promoted the video of that one guy that was saying Ignatius is more Protestant than anything. What?
I saw that.
He said, this is an excellent video. Top tier.
Yeah.
It's like the most slop nonsense video you could possibly push. I wouldn't have dared to make that kind of a claim as a Protestant apologist when I was doing that. I wouldn't have dared to do that. It would have been a nightmare. It would have been stupid. The craziest thing is that the guy that was pushing that is a Presbyterian.
Yes.
How are you going to say he's closer to your Protestant sect when, like, most of his works are talking about the episcopacy? I mean, he's kind of like he's the go-to for people who are doing apologetics to show a really strong understanding, early understanding of the episcopacy, right? Mono-episcopal system. So for West to be promoting that as like top tier apologetics is insane. Nothing against West at all, but you know, I think it just shows how little he's actually interacted with the material.
And I think to that person's point that said that, I'm pretty certain that you will start seeing Father Stephen DeYoung. I think he mentioned in there. I think he's scheduled to go on Tucker, although I don't want to claim that as factual on a stream like this. I think that's the case, but I can't imagine a future where you don't see people like him or Father Peter Heers or Jay or Andrew. Well, I mean, Andrew was on, and I know he's not a priest, but I think that time is coming quicker than we would imagine.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with the rise of Orthodoxy becoming more and more popular, I mean, if you were to do a Google Trends comparison right now of Eastern Orthodoxy, Roman Catholicism, and Protestantism, Eastern Orthodoxy is number one out of those three options. People are searching for that twice as much as they're searching for Roman Catholicism and Protestantism. So Eastern Orthodoxy is booming. On the online space, we own it. You're seeing a lot more guests on shows that are interested in Orthodoxy or are becoming Orthodox or are Orthodox priests coming onto these podcasts. It's going to happen more and more and more and more.
Yes.
Unfortunately, when this does happen, we've got the
target.
Well, we've got the target, but we've also got the people who are kind of deceptive. So you've got the Copts who will go on to these podcasts and say they're Orthodox. We saw this with Bryce Crawford.
Yep.
I just shared. I'll just pull that up on the screen here. We'll get back to this in just a moment. But Bryce Crawford just interviewed a Coptic priest. The title of his video is, I mean, people are like, woohoo! You know, he's got an Orthodox priest on, because the title of his video says this.
Is that the one? Is Orthodoxy the truth? I knew that's the one. Yeah.
Is Orthodoxy the truth? He's got a Coptic priest on, and it's got Belarusian Eastern Orthodox bishops in the back, Orthodox bishops in the back. So are they just not, are they like telling people, oh, you know, this like Orthodoxy thing that's trending online? Like, this is a really good, this is a really good quote unquote Orthodox priest to bring on. And he's not actually Orthodox, he's Coptic.
Right. And I think that young man, probably the host of the show with that beautiful smile, didn't, you know, they're not going to know the difference. And I would not have either a couple of years ago. If I wanted to talk to an Orthodox priest on my old political show, and someone brings him forward, I would go, oh, got it. Looks Orthodox to me. You know, they might not know that. Right.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying Bryce Crawford, this is, by the way. Bryce Crawford knows the difference. When they say Coptic Orthodox, they're thinking, oh, so like Greek Orthodox, so like Russian Orthodox.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like it's like that, right? Like, so like Serbian Orthodox, right? Antiochian Orthodox. But it's not being explained to them, I don't think, that they are not in communion with the actual Orthodox Church, right? One thing to note, by the way, which this is the Father Lazarus, who is commonly seen on Roots of Orthodoxy, who does the same thing. He's the Uniate guy that went undercover and was pretending to be Orthodox for a long time to make money from the Orthodox community, and he would do these interviews and things like this, right? Now he tells the priest, now he tells them that he's a, he's a Roman Catholic. So they're aware of it now. But back in the day, I mean, I'm not sure if that disclosure was being made. It had to be called out. And then he eventually came out and he had that whole interview saying, by the way, I am Voice of Reason's producer. And also I'm a Uniate Roman Catholic. I'm not actually Orthodox. And then he made a new channel called Roots of Faith. So when he was found out, he made a new channel called Roots of Faith. The same guy, Roots of Orthodoxy, I think probably recommended this priest to go on Bryce Crawford's show, because in the comments of that video, I said, hey, just a heads up, Bryce, this is a Coptic priest, not an Orthodox priest. Roots of Orthodoxy went in there and started attacking me in the comments. So I think he probably recommended this Coptic priest as an Orthodox priest to go on Bryce's thing. And he's like, don't expose my grift, like, shh, stop, So yeah, he was attacking that. One fun thing to know, though, an important piece to know about Oriental Orthodoxy. This term wasn't used until the 1960s. 1965 was when the term Oriental Orthodoxy was coined. And this was actually done at a joint conference where all of the different non-Chalcedonian churches came together for unity talks. Because prior to this time, they were not unified. These are separate bodies, right? They barely had any interaction with each other. Now, they would still loosely kind of commune whoever, right? They weren't super strict. They would kind of loosely commune amongst each other if they had contact, but most of them had zero contact with one another. And if they did, it was like once every couple of centuries or something. The 1960s, they all come together. They coined the term Oriental Orthodox, and boom, now they're a unified body. This is kind of a new push forward for them. Well, what also happened in the 1960s, the late 1960s, 1965 and forward? Well, you see in 1970, the Episcopal Church, right, starts to get super woke, and we have a mass flood of converts into Orthodoxy because of the popularity of Orthodoxy in the 60s. So they see that it became popular, right, to call yourself such. My kind of intuition is to say, and I've heard this from other people, from other priests, is to say that one of the reasons for them adopting that formally was to kind of scrape some of the interests of these converts into their churches. Now that's hearsay I've heard from priests, but I mean, it seems to make sense. Prior to this time, right, they might use the word Orthodox colloquially, but formally Oriental Orthodox, the Oriental add-on to Orthodox, to kind of distinguish themselves as a unified body, wasn't until the 1960s. This was actually at a what do you call it, the conference that they had. Anyway, but yeah, we'll probably see more of this.
Yes.
Right. I think we're going to see more of the Copts trying to kind of angle into the space to take from the momentum the Orthodox actually have. But hey, maybe one day they will accept Chalcedon, and we'll be in union. Who knows?
Yeah.
Pray for them to accept Chalcedon. I mean, especially if most of their arguments now are like something along. I'm going back to the John Hagee video, but if most of their arguments are like, oh, well, it's kind of like a linguistic difference, or there's some kind of misunderstanding or whatever. Well, if that is the case, then just accept Chalcedon, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me see. Pull up John Hagee again. Good old John Hagee. All right, let's see what he has to say about Zionism.
Universities, which are swimming in a sewer of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, my friend, is a sin. Sin damns the soul, and you will answer to God for it. The war described in Ezekiel 38:39 will be a Gog-Magog war. It will be a war very similar to the one that has started. It will be a war that continues and refuses to stop. It will be a war, Ezekiel says, where Russia, Iran, Turkey, and radical Islam will unite in a war against Israel.
That's what Ezekiel says Russia's gonna.
Yeah, I was actually just looking that up as I'm listening to this.
He said Ezekiel says Russia, Islam, and all these people are gonna rise up and fight Israel. Where's he getting that? Islam's not in the Bible.
No, and I'm not seeing that yet.
That's wild.
Oddly enough.
Here, you go ahead and pull that up. I'm going to grab these other super chats real quick.
Yes. What do you remember Ezekiel? What did he say? 28, 29?
Oh, let's see. Hold on. I can find out for you. Ezekiel 38 and 39. Okay. So he doesn't even cite a verse. He just cites 2 chapters. The entire. So anyway, let me get to these super chats real quick. Henry Huge, $5. Orthodox Kyle made a video called Libertarian to Orthodox Pipeline. That's true. I've seen a lot of that. A lot of the
yes.
Ex-libertarians coming over.
Yep.
Angel, $5. Thanks for making math homework I'm presently doing bearable. Hey, you got it. Absolutely. All right, let's see what else he has to say. So he says that Islam is in the Bible. I mean, I don't know how much worse we can get from here, but
it's going to be one just like this that gets this war going. The long story short is that God Almighty, the defender of Israel, will gather these historically anti-Semitic nations, and he's going to drag them to the hills of Israel. And listen to this. He's going to kill 5 out of 6 of them. You think God doesn't have a heartburn for anti-Semites? Payday someday.
He's going to kill 5 out of 6 anti-Semites? What is he talking about? Are you following this so far? It just seems like
I haven't seen that yet. Yes, I'm still looking.
And I assure you, all of you people in the Middle East who are giving the Jewish people a lot of trouble, you're going to rue the day that you did this. You are going to rue the day that you did this.
That's right, brother. Amen. You're going to rue the day that Russia, China, the Muslims attacked Israel.
Yes.
This is in Ezekiel. It says Vladimir Putin is going to trick Tucker Carlson into supporting This is what Ezekiel says.
I don't know how far this television reaches, but if any of you communists in Russia are listening.
What?
Now
what year was this made?
This can't be that long ago, because
communists in Russia. Got it. Okay.
There you go. We got the Red Scare boomerisms here.
Yeah,
Israel has a secret weapon that you don't know anything about. God Almighty.
Oh.
The second war in the future, 3 years after this first war, is the Battle of Armageddon. Everyone understands that word. God Almighty is once again going to clean house of the anti-Semites on the earth.
What?
I don't. That video is a complete waste of time. I didn't get a single coherent point.
Is there a presupposition he's got that Israel is a more Christian nation than Russia? I think that's what he's sort of getting at by inferring that Russia is still pre-1992 or whatever, that we're in it's USSR.
I don't know, man. I feel like he's just repeating like boomer slop Red Scare nonsense. None of that made sense. He's just saying Ezekiel said anti-Semites are going to die. We're going to kill all you anti-Semites. God's going to kill you. 4 out of 5 anti-Semites will die. And then Russia and the Muslims or whatever are going to try to attack Israel, which he is conflating Old Testament mentions of Israel with the modern Jewish secular state.
Yes.
Israel.
Yeah.
Which is a big mistake to begin with. But
then conflating modern Russia, which is building so many hundreds of churches per week, as far as I understand it, as communists.
I don't get it, man. All right. Well, I feel like, I mean, what are we even supposed to react to this one? This is just like insane ranting.
Yeah.
Says,
and they're just clapping
Hagee
along.
believes Christian Zionist pastor John Hagee declares anti-Semitism a sin, said God's going to clean house of the anti-Semites on the earth. Okay. All right. Well, we'll take your word for it. How about that? We'll take your word for it. All right. Let's take a look. There's another interesting clip here. This one went around quite a bit. This was Greg Laurie, who was basically self-depreciating himself to kowtow to the Zionists. So let's take a look right here. There was a video I saw not that long ago where somebody was saying something like, gosh, what was it? There was a bunch of Israeli rabbis or whatever. They were Jewish rabbis in Israel, and a guy from Sweden went to go visit, and he was like bowing and like kissing his feet. And they're all like laughing at him. It's like, ha 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 ha. He was like bowing and kissing the rabbi's feet, like just weird, dude.
And for those of us who aren't super familiar with this man we're about to listen to, who is this guy?
He's a Zionist pastor.
Okay. I've heard the name. Greg Laurie.
Yeah, he's a pretty popular Zionist guy.
Got it.
But he's a pastor, and he's going to talk about Zionism a little bit here. Let's take a look, and we'll react to what he has to say.
Yeah, and I love this. I didn't watch these when you sent them. I was like, this is going to be good, but I want my organic react. I didn't want to plan out what I was going to think or say, having processed this.
There you go. That works. I mean, that works. That's the best way to do it, to be honest. Some of this stuff these people say are just insane. I mean, the Mark Levin stuff.
Yeah, that was
wild. I just saw that come out. Rachel Wilson shared it, and she was like, "Oh, so it's going to be like the Jews are God's chosen, and America is Jewish." Yeah, pretty much. That's what it ended up being.
And notice the age of all of them so far. I think that's a silver lining of this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I remember when I was a non-denominational pastor, and I'll say this: I love my church to the day that I left it. I love everybody that attended my previous church. Nothing against anybody there. I have good relationships, with my former senior pastor and things like this. But some of the things that people would say I want to preface that before I say this. Some of the things people would say in like Bible study or whatever, like people that would go to Bible study, some of these older generation people have crazy presuppositions. There was one guy that came in, God bless him, but he would give his like flyers or whatever. I remember he gave me one flyer and it said like Your Eminence at the top, but it was like, give Israel your money. These are God's chosen people. We got to sponsor like Israeli families or whatever. It's a Christian's duty to support Israel. Don't, be an anti-Semite, all this kind of stuff. So this was the kind of stuff people were actually, coming from like a Baptist background, people were holding on to. The IFB guy that we were kind of, poking at a little bit earlier in one of the previous live streams that did that crazy rant against the Orthodox. He emailed me, and he's an IFB pastor. And even he says he's fed up with all of the Zionist nonsense in the Baptist circles. So, okay. I might actually try to get that guy on the show at some point, but I'm going to have a priest on to do that talk. So, or maybe I messaged Deacon Seraphim Roland. So I know he was an IFB. So I figure maybe we have a chat there. He seemed somewhat interested in Orthodoxy. He was like the pastor I spoke to. He was kind of like, we played his video because he had some crazy sermon that was like, he was like, there's 66 pieces of showbread on the tabernacle, Daddy. And that's the 66th book King James Bible. Amen. That's right there. Hallelujah. And so we were watching that, just kind of having fun, laughing. And he was like, hey, I saw you were like watching some of my stuff. Do you want to have a chat about Orthodoxy or whatever? So he emailed me and he said, he was actually pretty chill. He was like, hey, I get some people say this about Orthodoxy. Some people say that they believe this, and I want to figure out which is the right thing. Maybe we can have a chat. I'm like, absolutely. Yeah. We'll figure it out, and I'll get somebody on. Whenever I talk theology, I want to make sure I have
yes,
either somebody who's like a cleric on or deacon or something. Anyway, all right, let's look at this gentleman's argument here.
And
or I don't think he's making an argument. He just makes an insane statement.
I think it's so important because I'm not Jewish. I'm.
Oh yeah, the guy, the IFB pastor, he called MLK Marxist Lucifer King. Classic, dude. The guy, honestly, like he's kind of based. Like,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Based.
You can't hate it. Like, he's like, you got a little love for him in your heart when he says some stuff like that. It's interesting. Yeah, there you go. Rebecca says, I want that guy on our side.
Right.
Right. We'll send him out there.
a Gentile. And when I did my 23andMe test, I was hoping, is there some Jewish blood in me somewhere? And I found out I'm hopelessly Gentile. I am white trash.
Stop.
Well, no,
Wow.
I'm Scottish and Irish. And I said, my love for the Jewish people came after I came into a relationship with Jesus Christ. I was a confused kid going the wrong way in life. I heard about Jesus. I began to read the Bible, learn your history. That's where my love came for you and for the book that came through you. Everything we have came through the Jewish people. I'm not Jewish. I wish I was.
Oh.
I did one of those 23andMe tests. I was hoping, I have some Jewish blood. I have none. I'm just pathetically white.
Oh my gosh.
The self-hating white thing is like the most disgusting, groveling, sniveling thing you could possibly do, right? I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting. Anytime somebody does this whole self-depreciating nonsense, right? I mean, it just immediately makes me lose all respect for you. You know what I mean?
I mean, this is not to get too provocative or inappropriate, but it's like some weird sexual fetish or something.
Right.
The things I'm picturing, I won't say, but again, to make the parallels with the left from 10 years ago in 2016 or whatever, when Trump, it's like, and the BLM movement over 2020, there was this like kowtowing and bowing down, like, oh God, I'm an ally. I'm not gay, but I'm on your side. I wish I was gay, or I wish I was black. I'm for BLM. And you saw in so many of those groups and movements, it was like liberal white people sort of doing this. I hate myself. And those embarrassing sort of displays where, it might have been on fringe, but it was still seen on social media where they'd be like bowing down and like having a black person slap their head or something like that for the sins of our ancestors or whatnot. But it's a very similar thing that these guys are doing.
Yeah, I found that video, by the way. It wasn't a rabbi. It's just some random Jewish guy. So this is the Swedish MP doing this. So this wasn't just some Swedish guy. This is the Swedish MP doing this. Same thing. Self-depreciating white guy thing.
Humiliation ritual. This is it.
Maybe people will forget the sacrifice of them.
They're all just sitting there like, what does this guy do? Like they're laughing. You see this guy laughing over here? Yeah. This guy's embarrassed. He's like, okay. Why are you? He's like, he's taking a knee. He's like crying, holding this guy's knee. Like you are like this holy, it's insane.
So for me to see you here and to hear your words means a lot. To feel that we all united, Jews and non-Jews.
Yeah, ridiculous. But this is the kind of thing that we're talking about. This kind of like self-depreciating white guy thing. It's disgusting. It elicits the same reaction as if I were to see a garbage can full of maggots. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh,
Right. Yeah, that'd actually be a little better. But yes, I'm with you.
It's gross, dude. But let's see what else he has to say. He's like, I wish I was Jewish.
Irish, English, white trash. That's what I am. But I've grown to have a love for the Jewish people from my study of Scripture. And when I was invited to speak at the Museum of Tolerance right after the horrible attack on Israel with a Jewish audience, I told them everything I have has come to me through the Jewish people. My Bible has come through the Jewish people. My Messiah came through the Jewish people. Woe to the person who seeks to destroy Israel or the Jewish people, because God has made a significant promise to Israel, to Abraham and his descendants. I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those that curse you. One of the reasons God has blessed the United States of America is because we have stood by the nation Israel and the Jewish people, and we need to do that in the future as well. And
Oh, he's got his guitar up there. That's cute. The Gretsch. That's nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know, he's a guy you have to take super seriously if he's got a, you know, a guitar right behind him.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Hollow
what it
body
is.
Gretsch. Yeah.
When it comes to casting your vote for the next president, one of the things that I'm going to look for is a president that understands this principle and will stand behind Israel in her future.
Well, you'll be happy because there's no shortage of men that run for president that feel just that same way.
That's true. I mean, there's a lot of money in it, to be honest.
Yeah.
You've got well, I mean, just take a look at Byron Donalds, right? He got the Donald Trump endorsement. He's getting paid by the same. He's getting endorsed by the same Jewish lobby that endorsed Donald Trump, the same benefactors, and the AI lobby. I mean, doors open up, right? This would be like if I were to have remained Protestant, doors would have continued to open up for me.
Yes.
Yeah, the evangelical circle is massive. You know what I mean? I had my channel for less than a year, and I had already kind of done the circuit of the major Protestant podcasts. You know what I mean? The next step up would have been like a George Janko or something along these lines. So
did you see a drop off after you converted to Orthodoxy?
Oh yeah. I mean, I lost 1,000 subscribers day one, like just about.
Really?
So, yeah, I lost 1,000 subscribers almost immediately, and then I started growing again. The growth rate is not the same, but you know, it is swinging back in the other direction, starting to picking up momentum in these last 2 months. It's been kind of recovering, so that's good.
Man, I am so out of this bubble, of that bubble that this gentleman's in. It's a lot bigger of a bubble than the one I'm in, I suppose. But I'm almost like flabbergasted to hear such a strange, quote unquote, sermon at a quote unquote church and people just applauding this. This is so ahistoric, bad theology, incorrect. I mean, it's an ideology is what it is. It's not really theology, but goodness, I haven't heard or seen anything like this since I was a teenager at John Hagee's church.
Yeah.
I'm almost shocked this is still happening. But at the same time, I understand who controls finances, who controls much of our government. It's just funny for him to say, I'm the next president I vote for. I'm going to miss. Like, don't worry, brother. You'll be fine. We're the ones trying to find someone to vote for that feel the opposite as you.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of on the you hit the nail on the head there about where the money is coming from. The same lobbies that will support people like Byron Donalds will support evangelicals who try to take down Orthodox apologists or Roman Catholic apologists, because they're relatively anti-Zionist. You know what I mean? Even the Roman Catholic circles still somewhat they're anti-Zionist. I mean, you might have some that are on the fence, like Trent Horn, things like this. But the same people, they will finance people. I never had some kind of offer like that made to me, but I've noticed some of the evangelical podcasters are very finicky, even if they're not personally Zionist, and you've spoken to them in private, they're not personally Zionist, they'll be very finicky about saying anything against Israel on a live stream. And they will not support an Orthodox apologist or podcaster or Roman Catholic podcaster, or because that's the establishment kind of media. There is evangelical circles. Now it's becoming Roman Catholics. Roman Catholics are becoming more kosher, right? And you see this with Pints with Aquinas being acquired by Daily Wire.
Oh, that's right. He sure did. Yeah. I had actually forgotten about that.
So we're seeing a lot more kind of interplay between the two groups. Now you have Trent Horn just put out a video. I'll pull this up here because this is interesting. I know you got to run, but
no, we're still good for a little bit.
Okay, so Trent Horn just put out a video a couple days ago. No, 1 day ago, that says, surprise, surprise, can Catholics be Zionists?
Oh, you're kidding me. Okay.
So he makes the argument that in some usages of the word, non-religious usages of the word, you could be a Zionist and support the nation state of Israel. That's his whole argument. So, I mean, you've got big name Roman Catholic YouTubers that are now realizing, ooh, this is kind of where the money's at, right? Like that's kind of what it seems like, you know. And the more you kind of bend the knee just a little bit in that direction, the more doors seem to open up for you. But the more hardline you are against it, I mean, the more doors are going to shut. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You have to speak the truth. You're going
Right.
to stand before Jesus Christ at the at the judgment seat and answer for every decision you made, which is one of the things. Like when I was going through the conversion process, not really. When I was inquiring, I didn't quite have my mind made up yet, and I was like, some of these things are starting to unravel. Pretty much as soon as I was completely convinced, I made the announcement. Like I was like, okay, I'm not waiting. But when I was still kind of inquiring and trying to figure things out, there was this like temptation, right? There was this temptation. Like you could have stayed Protestant, and you could stay Protestant and make a lot, make a lot of money. You could be successful. You could have these connections. You could probably do these big name podcasts. You could get these connections. If you become Orthodox, you're giving all of that up. Like that was like a hesitation. I'm like, yeah, but that's evil though. I don't want to do that. Like if this is the truth, then what does it matter if I go on freaking George Janko's show or I do a show with Wes Huff? What does it matter if these things happen? You know? So I mean, who cares at the end of the day? I mean, is it more about making money, or is it about talking about the truth?
Right. I was going to say, yeah, if this is the truth and they're against us, what is that then, right?
Right. Exactly. And pushing, as Protestants, Protestant YouTubers and influencers and things like this, pushing forward, they'll be like, things are like so easy. Like things are just opening up. Like these things just kind of happen. This is like a very easy niche to kind of fall into. There's a lot of connections you can make. It's very palatable, right? Because it's the nice guy thing. It's like it's the ecclesial anxiety. We could talk about this. We could talk about how, well, actually, more people are welcome into the club than you initially thought. This is more palatable. This is more marketable, more advertisable. So you get more and more opportunities. I think this is going to be a real temptation for a lot of these people that become convinced of Orthodoxy's claims. It's just to remain in their position and to push something they no longer believe. And you see this, unfortunately, you do see this with some people.
Yeah, I mean, that's a grifting sort of mentality if you're going to just sort of follow the money. And again, I think coming from punk rock and a libertarian world, I was already okay with like being against, well, I could change my politics or change my whatever and start making money. I could talk about Mitt Romney. And it's like, well, I don't, then how do you sleep when you do that? Like, what does that money mean to you? And correct. So this is a much easier path to that extent, but it's a much harder path when you look at it all together, but that's the point of it. It's not to get many people in the club. You know, you see, I still have leftist friends that are like, Trump's racist, just out of the blue. Trump is Hitler. And they get a bunch of likes and comments like, do you feel good now that you got that out of your system and you said this little thing, you're in the club, all the people are friendly to you. Same sort of mentality. It's like, that's a very easy and surface level version of sacrifice. Like, I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to do it. I think Trump's a Nazi. Attack me. And it's like, you did that so people will love you. And it's just, that's not me. And it's sort of cringe to even think of that sort of personality.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, some of the Protestants that get convinced of some of the claims of the early church, and they're weighing between Roman Catholicism and Orthodoxy, even if they're not, a lot of the people I speak to a lot of people that are like this in private, by the way. The people that I speak to that are weighing between these two things, one of the temptations that they each face is that they will say, well, Roman Catholicism would also open more doors for me.
Wow.
Or it's more accessible, right? Or it's more convenient, or there are more Roman Catholic churches, or it's easier. It would be more palatable for people to accept me as a Roman Catholic because it's more Western. These are the kind of temptations that people face when they're weighing the pros and cons of coming to the one true church, which is the Orthodox Church, or Roman Catholicism as they're leaving Protestantism. So I think what you'll see is unfortunately you're probably going to see some of these influencers that are addicted to I'm not talking about, let me get Trent off the screen here so he doesn't think I'm talking about him. Some of the influencers that are more addicted to the attention or the you know, their this is their income or whatever. There's going to be a serious temptation for these people to just take the short stop and go to Roman Catholicism as if it's like the same thing. And I have several conversations in private of people who are inquiring that have that exact temptation. This is common.
Goodness. Well, if any of those people are listening, you know, I'm not a priest, I'm not your spiritual advisor, but man, I would hope you sort of reconsider where that's rooted in your gut, like why that temptation. If you're looking at the truth, I mean, you're going to rationalize it, I suppose, and go, well, it's Catholic and Orthodoxy is pretty close, and this is, yeah, my money, but like, boy, I would advise you really think of where that temptation's coming from and what passion that's sort of triggering or maybe stroking, no pun intended, not trying to be a pervert, but like what's stirring in you to chase a touch of fame or a touch of money when you are turning your back on the Orthodox Church. This is a worldview. This is the most important thing in the history of existence. It's not like a popularity contest or who can get a bit more money. That's not what this is at all. And if you can't make money or get clicks and yet you can go to the church, then your soul should be at ease there.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't understand the mindset of these people. I mean, I understand the temptation, but I don't understand making that decision. That's a mess. Rebecca says, I'll never forget soon after becoming a catechumen, things got difficult. And my husband half jokingly said, why couldn't we have just joined the easy church?
Right. Yeah. There's that bumper sticker, Orthodox Christianity. It's like Protestantism, but harder. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, when you go to the gym, you know, you could just walk on a treadmill for 10 minutes. Does that do anything? But then you're going to rationalize, go, oh, it's better than doing nothing. But I mean, if your focus is on Christ and the truth, just go all the way. And again, that doesn't mean you have to be a monk or a nun or something, but just come to where it is a little bit harder. That's okay. That's what, you know, it wasn't easy for Christ or the apostles either. Go research how they were, how they all died.
Yeah. Texas Nevsky has a good point. Yeah, the easy church where the demons accept you and leave you alone. Yeah, well, dude, that was a game changer when I began inquiring into Orthodoxy and I was on the path, you know, of entering the church. The spiritual warfare you face is insane. Like when you first are starting out, it is wild. I mean, and now even coming up into, you know, first Lent, you know, as an Orthodox catechumen, this is going to be an interesting. I already had a little bit of a teaser with what I was discussing earlier.
Yeah, you did.
which is actually, believe it or not, tied up in the decision to become Orthodox. So it is the demons are not happy. Like they are not happy. If you are in a place where you're not going against what they want, right? Things are going to be very easy for you.
Yeah.
It's like in a video game, you start going in the right direction, the enemies start popping up. A buddy of mine that began inquiring at the same time as me, he experienced some things that you probably don't want to experience, you know, things that he has to speak to his priest about. It's like, hey, you know, things got real for him. He was praying at one point and there was like a presence behind him. And long story short, he calls me 7 a.m. in the morning, weeping, just, I haven't moved from the spot. I couldn't move. I was just, I was sitting here crossing myself praying the whole night. And he had to speak to his priest. I'm just like, well, dude, you know, it's real. Like,
right.
You know, it's real now. Like, you know, don't lose that, you know, but he's like, I don't know, if I keep thinking about that, I think I might go insane. So I might have to, you know, stop thinking about it so much. I'm like, that's probably good. Don't obsess over it.
Yeah. Don't obsess over it. But I love that. It's like, that's how you know this is real. That's not the only way, but that's a way. That my priest and my spiritual father warned me, like, this will be the hardest year or year and a half, as it were, of your life, possibly, but expect it. And I remember going, okay, sure, what? And they were correct. And it made me think, by the time I was getting baptized, interesting how they kind of predicted these attacks were going to happen. And sure enough, they did, way outside of anything I had ever experienced before. And I thought, okay, this is real.
Mhm.
You're in the arena, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my wife's starting to notice it as well. So, I mean, do me a favor, if you're watching this live stream, pray for Buck, pray for me. Let's do this Lent. Let's pray for each other. Because you know, it is going to get difficult. But I do appreciate everybody that supports the show. Doing this is an awesome thing. Being able to speak to, you know, awesome people like yourself and various priests, metropolitans, and things like this is just such a cool way to be able to, I mean, not only sit back and learn without presenting myself as some sort of authority. I get to have them on, just ask my questions. It's like my little selfish thing there. I get to bring them on and ask questions and things like this.
Yeah.
But I also, it's encouraging for me to receive the emails, the DMs from people who were Protestant that were watching my show. I get these emails like almost every day. They're like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm inquiring in Orthodoxy, ABC 123. One interesting thing that's happened, and it has nothing to do with me, by the way. This is
Right.
a God thing. This is, you know, this platform, you know, the priests come on and they're the ones speaking wisdom to the audience. I'm just inviting people. That's like nothing, you know, nothing to do. But I'll get, because of, you know, my story and things like this, I will have pastors reach out and they're like, look, you doing this is making it more palatable for me to make the same decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're in that position, it's like your whole life is tied up into ministry, you know, and you know everybody in the church. You know, you're deeply rooted in the community. You have, you know, you bury these people's kids. You know, you've you know, buried their loved ones. You've married family members. You've suffered with them. You've been by their side as you get the call at 3 a.m. in the morning, and somebody's, you know, about to do something they can't undo. So I mean, you've done life with these people, and it just to imagine yourself stepping away from that and then moving into a completely different community and with complete, I mean, just different teachings as well, is very difficult for people. But I think the part that's difficult for some of these people is the community aspect,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's taking yourself out of that like leadership role where you're mentoring people, and now you're nothing.
Yes.
Now you're nothing. And that's what I'm grappling with now. Just to
Yes.
be completely transparent, I'm grappling with that now. I was talking to a friend of mine and I'm like, man, this is where I've been for like the last couple of months. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm used to my day being filled by texting people, giving people calls, visiting people at their homes, visiting people in the nursing home, doing ABC 123, being involved in these people's life. People will reach out and say, look, I'm struggling with this in my marriage. What do I do about it? You know, and I'll reach back out to them. And that's the way my day was filled. And I love doing that. I love mentoring people. I love helping people. But to take that, I mean, it's a huge jump. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I appreciate the pastors reaching out that are inquiring.
Look at the comments right there. Someone's doing, one of them is right there.
Oh,
Jesus, take the wheel.
yeah. I'm one of those ministers Ben is talking about. It's hard to step down, but I know it'll be worth it as I move into Orthodoxy. Yeah, glory to God. And every email that I get, people, you know, people that are inquiring, Protestant pastors, know that you are never bothering me. That is an encouragement for me. That helps me keep going too, you know, to see the, you know, other people coming to the Orthodox Church, being encouraged. It's a synergistic relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, I love that. It's awesome.
And at some point, once you're baptized and you're in the church for a few years, and there's going to be young catechumens that learn who you are and meet you at the parish and ask you to be their godfathers. And so you get to once again start sort of climbing smaller steps on a ladder, and you do get to mentor young people, or young men in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one foot in front of the other, though. I don't want to get too big for my britches.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to blow your head up, but that is
Yeah.
going to happen to you at some point. And
Lord
you're
willing.
yes, Lord willing. That's right.
Happy Cheese Fair Week. Henry Hughes says, "Hey, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it." How much time do you have before we get a wrap up here?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. I might keep going for a little while. I want to react to this Jack Hibbs thing because some of his statements are wild. But
Well, what is that? Let's see.
Well, he says, "Why should Christians support Israel?"
Oh,
so this is
goodness. Okay.
This is a Calvary Chapel pastor. So he's a big name Calvary. He's a big wig in the Calvary Chapel circuit. But he's a super pro Zionist guy. He's made several other videos talking about why, Christians should support, the Jews and all of this kind of stuff. And he did a video about why he said replacement theology is like the theology of the devil kind of deal.
Yeah, that's a straw man. That's not replacement theology. So he's already losing the argument, but sure.
Yeah. It's a mess. But you got to run though. I can't play this, right?
Okay, fair enough. Now I've got to watch this though after I get out of here because I'm in my own bubble. I'm so far removed from these sort of Zionist guys like this now. I didn't know who this guy was. And so it'll help keep me sharper and aware of that this stuff is out there. I only see it in politics with Ted Cruz and all these people that are, sort of in this mindset, and Mark Levin, of course, and Laura Loomer. But I'm so far removed. I was an atheist for 20 years after Hagee and before Orthodoxy. So it's interesting. I'm going to have to now, after I get out of here, I'm going to go back and watch this part too and watch your critique of it. I did not know this was such a thing still within Protestantism. It's wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this particular video is a little old, but he still makes videos like this now.
1 million subscribers.
Yeah, 1 million subscribers, 63K views on this particular video. There was another one I sent you. It was like Jack Hibbs exposes ties between anti-Semitism and end times prophecy. So this was like this was a 6 months ago video, but he does stuff like this all the time.
And he's a pastor at a church?
Yeah, he's a big wig in the Calvary Chapel, I believe.
Calvary Chapel. Okay. Well, cool.
Yeah, he is hold on, let's see. Yeah, he's a big wig in Calvary Chapel, that's right. Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills.
Yeah, that's largely out in California, isn't it? The Calvary stuff.
There's a lot of they're in Florida too. So
okay. When I hear California regarding them.
Yeah, well, they're all over the place. It's a big chain evangelical church. Like they're semi-Pentecostal. They're kind of charismatic, but they don't do tongues during the sermon. That's like their big draw. They're like, you can be Pentecostal, but we're not going to scare the normies away by doing tongues during the sermons. We do them in our Bible studies and things like this. So
it's nice to know that's a controlled effort there.
Yeah. Well, it's to attract the charismatics and the non-denoms and people who might be coming from a Baptist background, because they'll go to a service and they don't realize that this is their actual teaching until they go and they get plugged into like a Bible study or one of these things, and they're Shabba Baba and up and down.
Yeah, so. At Hagee's church there was tongues constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first only really experience. It was almost every week, but maybe every few weeks. And the shtick of it was sort of always during the altar call. It seemed like not 100%, but it was very often during that. I guess someone would get moved, do their thing. It would be very loud, one person in tongues. And then Hagee apparently was the only man that could translate what was just said. And so he would then tell us what that person said in tongues. Very fascinating experience.
Yeah. He said, you're going to give me 10% of your income today.
And buy my books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vote for George Bush. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Is there anything that you want to plug before we wrap up here?
Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate it too. I'm a fan of your work and a fan of you as a person. So thanks for having me on. Counterflow podcast with Buck Johnson here in 15 minutes. The new premiere drops. I put it off because of this show, and it's usually every Tuesday. Let's see, the Substack that's new. I'm bad at promoting this sort of thing, but I should while I've got a chance. buckjohnson.substack.com. I'm trying to do something once a week, but I also post podcast stuff on there as well as the articles I write. I did one today on psychological issue called Darvo. When you get an argument with someone, you sort of catch them red-handed where they deflect and accuse you of doing something, and then they reverse the victim and the oppressor in the midst of the argument. And lo and behold, I used an example with the video complete of Pam Bondi doing exactly that, if you were into Epstein stuff. And a friend had an example of it in real life. He told me this fight that he and his girlfriend got into, and I saw the Pam Bondi thing, and I was like, she's doing that. Many men who have been on the dating scene for any amount of time have probably experienced the same thing. And so that Pam Bondi stuff sort of gives me PTSD. But anyway, Counterflow with Buck Johnson is the podcast, and that's the Substack. And Ben, Cleave to Antiquity, I really appreciate you having me on, sir. We shall talk soon.
Absolutely. We'll have to do it again sometime. So everybody who's do me a favor, by the way, send me a DM with the Substack link and I'll put it in the description. So
I will do that.
If you're watching this after the fact, check out the description and go check out his Substack. I'm sure it's chock full with some good stuff, but I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll have to do it again soon. That'll be
absolutely. And I need you back on mine soon too.
Yeah, we'll find something fun to talk about, I'm sure.
All right, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. See you later. All right. We're going to continue on with the Zionist craziness. I'm going to try to avoid anything too theological, but we'll do a little bit of reaction stuff. Just take this with the asterisk there. Not a spiritual authority, not me. Go and speak to a priest, right? But we'll be doing a little reaction stuff here. Cool Barracuda, $5. Cleve, my fellow catechumen brother, we're so blessed because the whole church prays for all the catechumen every liturgy. Catechumen unite. Hey, praise God. Yeah, I mean, we've been receiving quite a few catechumens lately. A lot of people flooding into the church. It's a beautiful thing to see. I mean, pray for the priests because they're getting overwhelmed, right? I can only imagine the pressure that some of them under. Speaking of priests, Father Ron is going to be coming back on the show Thursday. Father Ron will be coming back on the show Thursday, and we're going to be talking about real presence in the Eucharist. So that's going to be an interesting show. We'll be reacting to some of Need God Net's, Ryan from NeedGod.net's videos against real presence, some of his arguments, which are, I mean, to be honest, I don't see anybody arguing against real presence anymore. Right? Even when I was a Protestant, I believed in real presence. I don't see anybody arguing against real presence anymore. You've got guys like Bryce Crawford, who admits that he believes in the real presence of the Eucharist. Ruslan believes in some form of real presence of the Eucharist. Gavin Ortland's a Baptist, and he says he believes in some form of real presence, right? I don't know anybody besides maybe Keith Foskey that doesn't believe in real presence anymore, other than NeedGod.net and Taco Talks. Who's doing this? I haven't seen a real presence debate in a long time. I don't know anybody who knows that, or who's talking about that. But yeah, yes, the Eucharist is what brought me to Orthodoxy. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. That is, it's an important subject. And once you go down that rabbit hole and you pull the thread, there's only one place you can land. That's the Orthodox Church. All right, so let's take a look at some of Jack Hibbs' reasons for wanting to support Israel. By the way, if you want to support the show instead of Israel, help me reach a super chat goal. 5 more super chats till we reach the goal. So I appreciate y'all. But why should Christians support Israel? Here's the joke. If we don't make super chat goal, Israel wins. It's over. Jack Hibbs is going to take the crown. He's going to win the championship, the Israeli Bowl.
Question today: why should Christians support Israel? You know, I recently heard from a noted theologian that you all know his name. He said, as of right now, Israel is illegitimate. The existence of Israel is illegitimate, and the Jew has.
Yes, Israel the church. That's right. Israel the church, not Israel the nation state. Correct.
Has no longer any promises from God. This guy is famous, and I almost fell off my chair. And the truth of the matter is, friends, listen up carefully. Number one, understand that Israel is a secular government, just like Chile, just like Canada, just like the United States. It's a secular government. That was prophesied in Scripture, by the way. Listen, this is why you should support Israel. Hear me out. God said in the book of Ezekiel,
prophesied by Scripture to say that Israel is going to be a secular nation state.
and
The church is Israel.
in the book of Isaiah, that he would draw the nation of Israel. He called them a nation from all the four corners of the earth, Isaiah 43, and bring them back into their own land in unbelief, Ezekiel chapter 36. He would speak to them as dry bones lying in a field upon the ground, and he would cause the bones to come together and that they would stand up, and then God would assemble the tissue, the muscle, the sinew, until they were standing. And then Ezekiel 37 tells us, 36, 37 tells us that he would at some time breathe into them life, and they would be an actual physical nation again. Christian, listen. You need to divorce yourself from feelings and from what is trending on social media and find out what the Bible has to say. God says, I'm going to build my nation. And listen, there's a big reason for this. And
he's going to say the secular nation state of Israel is the nation instead of the church.
I'm going to build my nation once again in the last days. It will be an indicator of the end times. Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 to 27, because it sets up many prophetic end time events that are key. One of which, by the way, is that all nations.
This is one reason why evangelicals are so keen to talk about end times prophecy, by the way. It ties into geopolitical motives, right? You want to usher in Jesus's return? Well, help us, build the third temple. Well, help us support the nation state of Israel, because if they're wiped out, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Nations will turn their back on Israel in the last days. Book of Zechariah, chapter 12 to 14, but also, again, Ezekiel chapter 38, including America, by the way. We may be in the throes of doing that right now. You might say, yes, good. America needs to get away from Israel. This is terrible what's going on. Wait a minute. Listen. What's happening right now is...
Wait a minute, please. Don't stop giving Israel your money, please.
That the nation of Israel think they're strong enough on their own. They think they've got enough technology, enough airplanes, enough tanks, and enough military prowess. As of this time speaking, Israel is not leaning on God. But we know that according to Scripture, there's going to be some war or series of wars that's going to bring Israel to the point of breaking, in the sense of leaning upon itself. And then Ezekiel tells us, 38, 39, that the Jews will begin to turn their eyes toward God. Nations do what nations do. God presides over them. He watches.
So just because they're not Christians, they're denying Christ now, it doesn't mean you can't just give them your money so they can go and bulldoze Palestinian Christians' homes and displace Christians, or push out the Orthodox from their churches and things like this. Not that long ago, Israel actually froze the Greek Orthodox Church's accounts in Israel. And they had to scramble to actually get their money to maintain their churches there. Eventually that let up, but these types of things happen, right? This is why you have that statement that the patriarchs made, patriarchs of Jerusalem, right? So we have the Patriarch of Jerusalem, but there's this group, it's like the patriarchs, right? They just put out this statement that said, you basically can't be a Christian and a Christian Zionist. There was multiple different groups that signed this letter. They called Christian Zionism very dangerous teaching, very dangerous false teaching. The Copts, Roman Catholics did, Cardinal Pizzaballa, and the Patriarch of Jerusalem signed it, as well as some other minor groups that have territories in Israel. But they even note that if you're sending your money to the nation state of Israel, what you're really doing is you're paying for the persecution of Christians. You're paying for their government to be even more strong and bold to restrict our access to these holy sites. It is not actually supporting, Christians in Israel at all.
Them. Is Israel sinless? No. But is Israel God's chosen people? Without a doubt. God said they are. Is his covenant
Still
with Israel eternal? Yep, he said so. In fact, in Judges chapter 1,
he said the covenant with the Jews is eternal. He said so. And he's referring to the nation state of Israel, by the way. So Jack Hibbs holds to dual covenant theology. Is that what's going on here?
and you can read about the land layout, the parameters of the land promised by God way back to Moses, but it's recounted in scripture in most places or many places. But one of them is the book of Judges, chapter 1. Remarkable. Here's the thing. We need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. God says to do that. God says that the Christian is to provoke the Jew to jealousy by our love for them and for God.
Yeah, by giving them our money. Provoke them to jealousy by funding them, please.
So friends, listen, it is a very critical thing, but I got to tell you, I'm not sweating this one out. When I say it's a critical thing that you stand and pray for Israel, Christian, what are you doing? Jesus is going to ask you this in the day of judgment. What did you do to the least of these, my brethren? Matthew chapter 25.
You're going to be judged. You're going to be judged at the dread judgment seat of Christ for not giving Bibi Netanyahu your dollars.
What did you do? Did you know that? When Christ returns, he's going to ask, what did you do to me when I was hungry and thirsty, or naked, or sick, or in prison?
That's an interesting statement, cool dude. It makes me think of the piety signalers, right? Don't they kind of use the same exact rhetoric? You're going to stand before Christ for your debates. You're sowing division amongst the brethren, even though we're not talking about brethren. It's like Roman Catholic Orthodox debate. The Ecumenists sound exactly the same as these Zionists do, as Mark Levin did, talking about Enlightenment principles and things like this. It's the same exact thing animating them, right? That is what it seems like. Yeah, for our brothers and sisters in Christ. That's right. Absolutely. But you'll see the Ecumenists say, well, you shouldn't talk about our differences. That's just too mean. You shouldn't talk about the fact that we're not in communion with each other. That's just too mean. You shouldn't talk about the fact that Coptics are not actually Orthodox. That's just too mean, right? It's wild. It's the same exact statements, right?
Jesus was talking to, what did you do to my brethren? Well, who was he referring to? He's not referring to the church, I'll tell you that. Read it in its context. He's referring to, in Matthew 25, what did you do to my brethren, the Jews, in their time of need?
Notice how he just twisted that there.
So, friend, listen to this. If God does not keep his promises to Israel in their eternal covenant, Abrahamic covenant, if God doesn't keep that covenant, you're not going to go to heaven. I'm not going to go to heaven. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Pope right now or you're a brand new Christian giving your heart to Christ. You're not going to heaven, because if God can't keep his promises to Israel, he has no obligation to keep his.
Hey, we got hello listeners audience coming into the chat. What's up? Yeah, I love hello listeners show. He's got some cool graphics, man. I got to figure out how to do the OBS wizardry that he knows how to do. He's got the OBS setup so cool. He's got the rotating stuff. His guests come on and speak through an orb. So if you haven't subscribed to Hello Listener Show, make sure to do so.
Promises to you. Of course, I'm being rather sarcastic right now, because the fact is God will keep his promises to Israel. That's why the Christian should defend and protect and to watch out for Israel. Because God, who promises Israel, he's going to keep those promises.
For those that are just joining, we are critiquing Zionism right now. I had Buck Johnson on the show just a second ago. He had to leave, but we're finishing up this Jack Hibbs video, and I'm going to watch one more that he did. We're going to talk about some recent statements from Netanyahu talking about his new media war against Christianity. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, after we hear what this Protestant pastor of a Calvary Chapel, Jack Hibbs, has to say about Zionism.
The same God that made promises to you that he would save you, and that the cross is effectual, that what Jesus did do as a Jew, died on the cross in Jerusalem, in the occupied land that the Romans...
Yeah, it's the same thing that Ted Cruz said. He was saying the nation state of Israel is who that's referring to. You got to give Bibi Netanyahu bunker busters, or else you're going to sit before the dread judgment seat of Christ and answer for why you didn't give Netanyahu bunker buster missiles.
Occupied, called Israel. Nowhere in the Bible, by the way, is Israel ever called Palestine. Okay, that's just not in the Bible. It's never been. It's never going to be. It's always been the land of Israel. So, friend, listen, find a Jew and love on them. That's why, by the way, Satan is grabbing people right now and manipulating people.
Yeah, I don't think George Bush said that. Ted Cruz said that, though. He did for sure.
To attack and kill Jews. You need to pick sides. That's right. You need to pick a side. Which side are you on? Are you trying to be cool and flow with your friends at school or university and be pro-Palestinian? To be pro-Palestinian it could indicate that you're pro-Hamas. You better watch out. You see, Hamas has taken advantage of the Palestinian argument.
They try to draw this false dialectic. It's like, look, if you're not pro-Israel, then you're pro-Islam. Are you pro-Islam? Are you a terrorist, boy? You some kind of terrorist, boy? You in here supporting Islam over here? Because you're talking about Bibi Netanyahu is some kind of war criminal. Well, I don't like that. That's un-American. You must be one of them Islamists out there. Well, it could be that I don't like either, right?
To destroy Israel. Watch out which side you pick, friend. Make sure that when you land, you're landing in the pages of the Bible and not on some social media trending moment. That's certain destruction.
Yeah. What a mess here. Got a super chat from Kermit King, $5. I am a true Zionist. I want to give my money to a future member of the true Israel. Amen. That's right.
The 66th book, King James Bible, amen. That right there, hallelujah.
Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. I'm going to dive into some of these statements by Netanyahu because they should concern you. They should concern you. We were just talking about how the restrictions under the COVID era could potentially come back. Well, that is exactly what Israel is angling for. That's exactly what Netanyahu is pushing and lobbying for. Several Republican politicians are pushing anti-Semitism laws, like anti-Semitism hate speech laws. We saw this by Ron DeSantis. He pushed a similar bill that restricted speech on these subjects in college campuses. They could actually get you expelled from your college for speaking out against Israel. Can you believe this? This was something that Donald Trump actually pushed recently. And one thing that we'll note is that they're all funded by the same people. But let's take a look at what Netanyahu has to say, because they are losing the American evangelicals. They're absolutely losing them. They were the only ones that were supporting them. They're losing them now. They're starting to win some of the Roman Catholics, right? We saw Matt Fradd's show just got bought out by Ben Shapiro. So he's on the Daily Wire. He's like collecting Roman Catholics like they're Pokemon cards, right? He's got Matt Walsh. He's got, who's the other guy? Who's the other dude? Tall guy, other Roman Catholic. And now he's got Matt Fradd. Who's the other dude? Anyway, he's collecting Roman Catholics. So you're starting to see these people be a little softer in their approach to Zionism, be a little softer in their approach to the nation state of Israel. We just saw Trent Horn put out a video saying that it is okay for Roman Catholics to be Zionists in some sense, so long as it's not religiously motivated, right? Yeah, Michael Knowles, that's the other Roman Catholic. So yeah, Daily Wire collecting Roman Catholics like Pokemon cards, basically. But Netanyahu made a couple of statements recently about, hold on. made a couple of statements recently about the United States, leftists, minorities, and what they all have in common and what they should all do. So this is from RT. Netanyahu, minorities, whether it is blacks, Skittles, or women, fought back. That's what we have to do as Jews, beginning with the United States. It is to fight back. Fight back against who? Wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. Fight back against the United States.
Do not. I say to you in front of these vilifications, do not cower. Do not bend. Do not bow your head. Fight back, because people respect those who respect themselves. And the minorities that fought back, whether it's the blacks or the
Say what you want about Nick Fuentes. That clip was funny. Get back to work, Matt Walsh.
gays or women, they fought back. And what we have to do as Jews, both here in Israel and in the various Jewish communities around the world, beginning with the United States, is to fight back. Silence will not help.
Beginning with the United States is to fight back.
Looking askance will not help. Fight back. That's what I tell you. That's what I tell young Jewish students that I meet. I'm very proud of them when I meet them. I say.
So let's take a look at that one more time. So just a synopsis of what he said. He's saying, just like the minorities did in the United States, this is what Jews need to do in the United States. We need to fight back. Fight back against what? He's talking about the tide of anti-Semitism online, quote unquote anti-Semitism. And for him, anything that is anti-Zionist is considered anti-Semitism. We just saw with Mark Levin, he launched a new podcast today, and he was saying that if you are anti-Zionist, you are anti-American. You are a traitor. You are betraying the Constitution of the United States, according to Mark Levin. So you're going to see the rise of these types of people who are Israel first, pushing this type of narrative that to be anti-Zionist is to be anti-American, which is absolutely insane. But to have a foreign leader who is supposedly one of our allies come out and say, Jews, you need to fight back against America. That's a little shocking to me. Let's take a look at what he has to say one more time, because this is a key clip. There's one more that I'm going to play for you, though.
In front of these vilifications, do not cower. Do not bend. Do not bow your head. Fight back, because people respect those who respect themselves. And the minorities that fought back, whether it's the blacks or the gays or women, they fought back. And what we have to do as Jews, both here in Israel and in the various Jewish communities around the world, beginning with the United States, is to fight back. Silence will not help. Looking askance will not help. Fight back. That's what I tell you. That's what I tell young Jewish students that I meet. I'm very proud of them when I meet them.
Silence will not help. It's time to fight back. Let's look at what he has to say about his upcoming media war. This is 2 days ago he said this. There's going to be a media war, a digital war. We're going to fight it together. The first requirement to defeat anti-Semitism is to fight anti-Semitism. So let's see what he has to say about this.
That's what I tell young Jewish students that I meet. I'm very proud of them when I meet them. I see that they have this inner fire, but it must be a policy. We fight back. There's going to be a media war. There's a digital war. Yes, I know all of that. And we're going to fight it together. But the most important thing is that you are willing, God, I hate to borrow this phrase, fight, fight, fight. You have to fight back. The first requirement to defeat anti-Semitism is to fight anti-Semitism. That's what I tell.
So he's talking about there's going to be an upcoming media war. We actually see inklings of this with Israel launching the largest geofencing campaign in the history of geofencing campaigns to target evangelical Christians to get them to support the nation state of Israel. They're spending millions upon millions of dollars to push this narrative. Now they're talking about a media war. Notice that they're placing a lot of pressure on these different social media sites to implement censorship. So if they get their way, we'll go back to COVID era censorship, and nothing that we say, we won't be able to talk about anything on the show anymore. We'll just get canceled. That's basically how it's going to be. That's my fear. I think Israel is going to really push this. We've already seen how much they have subverted the GOP. Byron Donalds is talking about pushing more anti-Semitism laws in Florida, expanding upon the laws that DeSantis had put in place, but he's also going to undo DeSantis's work fighting against AI's domination of the state. But he's getting funded by big AI lobbies, basically. So if Byron Donalds wins the primary for the governor's race in Florida, Florida's cooked. It's over. It's over for us. The only way forward would be to try to get Fishback in office, who says that he will actually ban Palantir from owning any government contracts in the state. Ban them from owning government contracts in the state. AI won't be able to profile people who are talking about Zionism. AI won't be able to profile people who are talking about this stuff online. And Israel will not be able to implement their mass censorship campaign in the United States. Believe it or not, this is coming. This is the next front of the information war. Will be Israel taking over these social media sites or implementing huge sanctions on politicians that don't push for more restrictions on our online usage. Okay, so this is what's coming next. This is out of the mouth of Benjamin Netanyahu. We've seen several plans that he's made, statements that he's made in the past, indicating this. He's noted that that targeting the evangelical churches and subverting these evangelical churches in order to make them more Zionist is a part of his war chest spending. He's admitted this in interviews. How do we not know this? Right? If you are an evangelical attending a pro-Zionist church, this is where your tithes are going, by the way. This is why they paid to fly 1,000 pastors out to Israel. 1,000 pro-Zionist pastors to receive training to fight anti-Semitism. He's expending lots of his war chest on this particular subject. This is another front in his war, the online sphere. So, yeah. Thank you for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. I think I missed this one. Viva la Tel Aviv. Yee. Thank you for the super chat. Jacob, $10. Streisand effect is going to get them. I hope so. I sure do hope so. I genuinely hope that Fishback wins in Florida. That would be a huge win. He seems like the only America First candidate I've seen in any political sphere right now in the United States. He's like one of the big ones right now. I know I might potentially get him on the show at some point. I think that would be good. But he's going on bigger shows at the moment, so that's awesome. I hope he picks up some steam. Byron Donalds has got millions of dollars backing him. And it is a huge mess. Yeah, it's a huge mess. All right, so I had more that I want to react to here. Netanyahu has made a couple different statements, but there was a statement by Vladimir Putin that was kind of interesting that some people might want to dive into. So Vladimir Putin, I'm going to pull this up. We'll dive into this in just a moment. Well, I'm going to see if I can find his statement here. Because he just made a statement basically indicating who's attacking the Russian Orthodox Church. Yeah. I can't find this new statement, but basically he says that Jewish interests are attacking Orthodoxy, basically. I'm not a Putin shill or anything like that, but when somebody's saying something correct, then that something is correct. I mean, we can kind of see the Israel's interests infecting every facet of society. We were just looking at Mark Levin's statements talking about Enlightenment principles pervading throughout American society, our very founded upon Enlightenment principles, Judeo-Christianity. This is the big narrative that they want to push forward. But we've got to educate people. I think the older generation is a little more susceptible to falling for this type of stuff, unfortunately. It's a huge mess. I'm going to look at the video that I was going to react to. Jack Hibbs had a crazy video about end times prophecy. Let's see if I can pull this up on the stage here. So Jack Hibbs exposes the ties between anti-Semitism and end times prophecy. So, I mean, they're using these people as basically like useful idiots at this point. The Israeli state doesn't care about evangelical Christianity. They just don't. They see you as a commodity. They see you as either you are allied to them or you're not. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian. Doesn't matter if you're ABC 123. They're using evangelicalism as a means to bolster their war chest, and also as a means to kind of style some of this rhetoric in the way that they want it to be seen. Which is why Netanyahu is now talking about Jews, you need to fight back against America. Wait, what? Fight back against America? Why is that? I thought you were our ally. Oh, well, because the rhetoric is starting to turn. People are starting to wake up to what Israel is actually doing. So they're starting to panic. So they deploy people like this to make statements like this.
Pastor, right now, conspiracy theories are running rampant and they're becoming increasingly dangerous. I'm thinking of people like Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens, and especially when it comes to the subject of Israel. I think.
See, that's their biggest worry. Notice the names that they list. Oh, first off, I think Candace Owens is kind of crazy, but Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, they're talking about internet personalities. These are the greatest threats to Israel. Social media personalities, right? We saw Mark Levin talk about Tucker Carlson, right? So this is the new front in the war, the info war, Alex Jones info war. You know, this is the new front. The frogs are turning the water's turning the frogs gay. You know, this is the new front in the info war. Social media, podcasts, podcast hosts. In a couple seconds, they'll say the number one threat is Cleave to Antiquities live stream that he's doing right now. No, I'm just kidding. But you get the point. This is Netanyahu's new focus. He's giving the information to his minions here.
There's a growing anti-Semitism that not only exists on the left, but is increasingly rising up on the right. So as Christians, how should we parse, it's okay to be critical. Like I think the government of Israel could handle this better or differently. But there is this growing anti-Semitism that I think we as believers ought to be wary of. So could you just share some thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's really an amazing time. First of all, we have to make sure that we put it in the proper context, as all things. Number one, this is one of the signs of the end times. An increasing anti-Semitic, anti-Israel view. How do we know this?
Notice he conflates the two. Anti-nation state of Israel, this is anti-Semitism.
Because the Bible tells us, both in Ezekiel and in Zechariah, that in the last days, the world will turn against Israel. So number one, no Christian should be ruffled by the comments of particular podcasters that you mentioned for a moment ago, who are now fomenting this anti-Semitic view. That should be expected if you know your Bible. It shouldn't trouble you. But it doesn't mean you should be silent either. You should speak up and expose. Paul the Apostle told us that we need to expose people even by name. And Paul did that. And so when you hear people saying what they're saying, I immediately go to Timothy, 1st and 2nd Timothy.
Expose these people by name, the ones that are calling out Zionism. All right, Jack Hibbs, I want to see you talking about Ben from Cleave to Antiquity in your next podcast. Go ahead and call me out. Make sure to add a link to the show in the description. Call me out by name. This is what you're talking about here. See, I don't mind. Call me out by name, Jack Hibbs.
Where in the last days, there will be those propagating doctrines of demons and teachings that are spawned on by deceiving spirits. That's what's happening. And listen to this. Does not the Bible say, Trey, that Jesus Christ is returning to Israel in the second coming? Doesn't it say that he's going to return to Jerusalem? Doesn't it say that he's going to be enthroned on Mount Zion?
Well-known Orthodox apologists cleave to beniquity. That's funny. You know what's super funny? I haven't been doing debates at all, since I made the announcement that I was interested in Orthodoxy, that I was journeying in that direction. And, now I'm a catechumen. I've intentionally stopped doing debates and things like this. I don't call myself an apologist, but these people, they keep calling me apologist. So you're an apologist. What was that guy's name? Cameron Riker, well-known Orthodox apologist. I interview priests and I do apologist Q&As, and I do news reporting. I don't, if I'm not doing debates, what are you talking about, dude?
That's what the Bible says about future prophecy regarding Jesus. But if Satan knows this, then wouldn't it be advantageous to Satan in his twisted thinking to get an anti-Semitic flow to try to abolish the viability of the nation of Israel, to say that Israel's illegitimate, that it doesn't exist, that God didn't know what he was talking about when he said that in the last days before I return, I'm going to draw Israel back from all the four corners of the earth, and I'm going to bring them back into their own land while they are in unbelief, and I'm going to cause them to prosper in unbelief, and they won't believe in me until the Ezekiel 38 battle. That's where he says the veil is going to be lifted from their eyes, and then they will know that I am the Lord.
The Ezekiel 38 battle, the one that John Hagee said it's going to be, he said, Ezekiel 38 says it's going to be Russia, it's going to be the Muslims, it's going to be a bunch of these people, they're all going to attack the nation state of Israel. Like Russia and Islam is in the Bible. Are they all getting the same script from one another? Where are these things in scripture?
So, wow, I see that.
They're just saying Gog and Magog is Russia or something. Just like making things up.
Stuff happening, and I hear the rhetoric and I hear the anti-Semitism, and it just means for me that I'm.
Well, you know what's interesting? Russia actually is in some prophecy. St. Paisios had a prophecy that stated that there will be a war. China will march over to Israel. China will march not to Israel, to Jerusalem is the terminology. Israel is the church. China will march over to Jerusalem. At some point, Turkey is going to fall, and then Russia is going to give Constantinople to the Greeks. Right. And it doesn't paint Russia as good guys. It's just this is what's going to happen. And through everybody's persecution, then the church will be whole. That was a prophecy of St. Paisios. So we're talking about that in the live stream with guys from World War Now. So if you want to check that out, look at this last live stream. No, it's the live stream before last.
I'm standing for Israel because, of course, it's not sinless. Listen, Israel is as messed up as America is, which is exactly how messed up Canada is. Nations are messed up, but there's only one nation that has a covenant that God says I've made with them forever. And it's not America, it's Israel.
The church is Israel.
You said recently, Pastor, about Israel that the peace agreement has been brokered by President Trump is great and is an encouragement, but urged us as believers to not be too excited because of just the patterns of this world, and also because of what Scripture says is going to happen as the end times play out. So explain that.
Yeah, well, historically, again, I'm an old guy, so I lived through most of these things. How many times have I seen a president on the White House lawn signing a peace agreement with Israel and some neighboring Muslim Arab nation over and over again? You name the president, we know that it's going to fail because the Bible tells us, the book of Daniel chapter 9, for example.
Anyway, I can't listen to this guy's ranting anymore. He's just going to say, oh, well, you know what? We know this is going to fail. Oh, this is the most replayed part. Does he actually say something good here? He's going to say, we know these are going to fail. The Russians, it's the Russians.
Revelation.
How much do you want to bet he says the Russians? Let's see.
Tells us this as well. Chapter 13, we know Matthew chapter 24, that there's going to be a peace treaty brokered by one that is of a European descent, because it is the rise of the ancient Roman Empire. Daniel tells us that it's the leaders, the 10 kings that are depicted as the 10 toes on Nebuchadnezzar's great statue, that one of those leaders will rise up and craft a 7-year peace treaty with the nation of Israel. And 3.5 years into that middle,
I feel like I'm listening to brain rot
point, which is the tribulation period, 3.5 years into that 7 years, he's going to break that peace treaty. So this is not Trump's peace treaty. It's not Jared Kushner's peace treaty. It's one that is coming, which means, Trey, that this one and other ones to come, they will fail, because there will be a need for this one who's called the Antichrist, who will come onto the world scene, giving Israel a 7-year contract of peace. But this man himself, Mr. 666, we can call him, will break that treaty. And he breaks it, of all places, the Bible tells us, in Jerusalem. Wow. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. What a mess. I mean, the Jack Hibbs stuff is all so crazy. He basically said a whole bunch of nothing. This is going to break the peace treaty. Things are going to get bad. Things are going to get real bad. It's going to break the peace treaty, yada, yada, yada. Well, you know what? We saw somebody else. Maybe I'll take a look at this real quick. We saw somebody else make a statement, Roman Catholic gentleman, Trent Horn. He's been making a couple of really crazy videos lately, but his most recent one was, can Christians be, or can Catholics be Zionists? This was just, so you've got this kind of trend of Roman Catholics becoming more Zionist friendly in some ways. You've got Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, you've got, all working for Ben Shapiro. Now you've got Matt Fradd from Pints with Aquinas working for Ben Shapiro. And they all kind of are a little more hush-hush about the Israel subject. Now you've got other big-name apologists like Trent Horn, who's on Catholic Answers payroll, making videos like this. Can Catholics be Zionists? There was a part
last week.
Too long didn't read. Basically what he says is, in a religious sense, no, but in a secular sense, yes. Let's see what he has to say about it. I'll take a look at this very briefly.
Were often destroyed and their worship was banned. Jewish synagogues were allowed to exist because Jews were seen as still having a special witness to God's promises. Romans 11 even says that Jews who rejected Jesus are beloved for the sake of their forefathers, for the gifts and the call of God are irrevocable. Zionism is incompatible with Catholicism if it contradicts the church's theological claims about Christ and the Jews. In 2018, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI.
So there's the thing. There's his distinction. Zionism is only incompatible with Roman Catholicism if it is in contradiction to the theological claims of the Jews. So regarding the Jews, that they're a witness people, right? This is what they say. They're a witness people, so on and so forth. But he's saying basically you can't hold a dual covenant theology, but you could still be a Roman Catholic Zionist. Octavian, $10. Propagate Ben. Hey, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. Only one more to goal. So help me reach the goal. I appreciate y'all.
16th, published an essay on Judaism in Israel where he said the following. After the establishment of Israel as a country in 1948, a theological doctrine emerged that eventually enabled the political recognition of the state of Israel by the Vatican. At its core is the conviction.
So notice that after the establishment of Israel as a country in 1948, a theological doctrine emerged that eventually enabled the political recognition of the state of Israel by the Vatican. Interesting.
That is
political recognition of the state of Israel by the Vatican.
Strictly theologically understood state, an understanding of the promises. At the same time, however, it was made a historical dwelling place of the Jewish people. So a Catholic cannot support a theological Zionism that sees modern Israel as a divine promise, but they can support a more political version that sees Israel as one geographic homeland among many in the world. A Catholic also cannot support any form of Zionism which says that Jewish people have no need of Christ as their savior. This is why I published an episode on why Jews should convert to Catholicism that you can check out in the link below.
He's basically just talking about dual covenant theology, like I said. So his caveat is you can't hold the dual covenant theology, which really has nothing to do with Zionism, which is a political statement here, which sometimes can play off of dispensationalism. But Zionism in and of itself is political.
However, the church also recognizes God has a special relationship to Jewish people and can providentially guide them so that, as Romans 11:20.
Hey, thank you for helping me reach goal. I appreciate it. Witzius with the $5. Thank you so much.
Vitamin K. I said it's found in yogurt and alfalfa sprouts. Vitamin K.
Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate y'all. Let's see what else Mr. Trent has to say about Zionism.
26 says, all Israel shall be saved. So when it comes to...
Wait a minute. All right, so this was a huge blunder that he just made. Notice who he's saying is Israel.
relationship to Jewish people and can providentially guide them so that, as Romans 11:26 says, all Israel shall be saved.
He's saying all Israel shall be saved is referring to the racial Jewish people, the nation state of Israel. What are you talking about? Israel is the church. Israel is the church. He's saying the Jewish people is all Israel in this prophecy. What are you talking about, Trent?
So when it comes to Zionism, I agree with this post from Lila Rose, which says, if Zionist means I think Israel has a right to exist, then I'm a Zionist, and so is the Catholic Church.
Again, more pro-Zionists, more pro-Zionist Roman Catholics.
If Zionist means I condone everything the Israeli government does, then no, I'm not a Zionist. I also don't condone everything America does. For those who hate Zionism, what exactly are you hating?
Notice the double speak there. That's like pure commie talk. This is the same thing that Mark Levin was doing at the beginning of this video. If you are talking bad against Zionists, then you're going against Judeo-Christian values, right? It's conflation, right? Judeo-Christian, always with the subversive speak. But it's making these big generalizations and conflating these things together. I can't believe that Trent Horn just said all Israel will be saved refers to the racial Jewish people and not the church. That's an insane statement to make.
Relationship to Jewish people and can providentially guide them so that, as Romans 11:26 says, all Israel shall be saved. So when it comes to Zionism, I agree with this.
Insane, dude. Absolutely insane.
Opposition is focused on particular policies of the Israeli government, which Catholics can reasonably disagree about. For example, it is not anti-Semitic to claim that Israel committed war crimes during its military campaign against Hamas facilities and personnel in Palestine by directly targeting civilians. Claims about military malfeasance may or may not be true, and so they should be investigated.
So now he moves on from the subject of Zionism and he moves into what is anti-Semitism, this kind of tone policing. So to save you some time, basically what Trent says is he says, if you're going to criticize Israel, you also have to criticize Palestinians and these other groups as well. And if you don't do that, then you're actually an anti-Semite. So if you're not criticizing everybody and you're only criticizing Israel, then you're an anti-Semite, is what he's saying.
Investigated, but the claims themselves are not anti-Semitic. What can be anti-Semitic is when a person condemns Israel for military actions that result in civilian casualties, but does not condemn other nations who engage in the exact same behavior during armed conflicts. This double standard is often motivated by a personal animus towards Jews, and so it manifests an arbitrary criticism of the Jewish state of Israel. To make an analogy, anti-white racism often manifests itself in condemning Europeans for owning slaves and treating slavery as a uniquely white sin, while ignoring that people from Africa, Asia, and the Americas.
I've seen that. I don't want to attack Trent personally, though. That's the thing. His own weird, personal failings, I feel like, I don't know. I'm not super interested in talking about people's personal failings. I feel weird about that, especially with Trent, because his wife had cancer and was going to die. And a bunch of groypers were attacking his wife with these videos during that time period. I mean, I thought it was kind of insane. Now, granted, it's super, super freaking weird that he did all of this stuff. That's real, by the way. He did make a video like that. He's had like a binky in his mouth. It's very strange. But I don't know. It's just, I'll attack the ideas of this guy. I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. That is odd. That is odd.
Also enslaved people throughout human history. In the hearing with Prigine, Rabbi Ari Berman made a...
Yeah. Well, it's also Lent, right? It's also about to be Lent. So I don't want to be engaging in personal attacks like that. We'll engage Trent's ideas. I will say that was very strange, but I'll refrain from attacking him personally. I don't want to do that. We'll engage his ideas here.
Another double standard argument regarding anti-Semitism.
Undoubtedly, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, and undoubtedly, and one does not have to support the specific policies of the government of Israel, but to not support the right of Israel to exist, which is what anti-Zionists do, while not taking that same stand to the 28 Muslim countries and 13 Christian countries in this world, is a double standard, is hypocrisy, and is absolutely anti-Semitism.
I'm a Catholic, and Catholics do not embrace Zionism, just so you know.
So what should a Catholic make of this in light of how the
She got let go from her position on the faith board or whatever, which is wild because isn't that thing ran by Paula White, the fake false prophet lady? That's like she's talking in tongues. She was like, Donald Trump's gonna win the election when he lost. Donald Trump's gonna win the election. I'm sending African angels. African angels are coming and they're gonna bless you and you're gonna win the election or whatever. She did like this whole thing and she was like Shaba Baba 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 Baba. That's like Donald Trump's spiritual advisor or whatever, and she's running this like faith board or something. Isn't that what this lady got fired from?
church has acted towards the nation of Israel since its founding in 1948. First, saying Jews in principle should not be allowed to have a dedicated homeland anywhere is an anti-Semitic double standard, since other groups are allowed similar freedoms to promote the common good of their own people.
Wait a minute. Other groups are allowed? What about what about my people? I'll just throw that out there. What about my people? Am I allowed to go make a yeah, exactly.
Second, saying Jews should not have a homeland in Palestine may...
Well, problem is when people actually do that, it's usually like some kind of psyop, like that. Who's that dude that made the whites only colony thing? What's that guy's name? He's a perennialist dude that Jay debated. Arval? Yeah, Arval. Arval or whatever, that guy. And it was like, step one, make whites only colony thing. Step two, invite a bunch of neo-pagans and Christians to live together. Step three, we're making a cult. That's how it ended up being. It's like some big freaking psyop thing.
Or may not be anti-Semitic depending on the motivation. This belief could, for example, be motivated by simply thinking indigenous people in that area were unjustly deprived of their land. This would be similar to how some Native American activists believe much of the land in America actually belonged to certain indigenous peoples and is being unlawfully occupied by the US government. A Catholic could hold this view and be anti-Zionist in this sense without being anti-Semitic, as long as he treats similar kinds of occupations in other nations the same way. But if the person only holds this view towards Israel, this would be similar to someone who agrees with historians about the reality of every genocide in history, except the genocide of Jewish people.
She's going to hyper qualify this and say, if you're going to criticize Israel, you have to criticize everybody else, or else you're anti-Semitic. That's the entire point. It's just kind of like Marxist doublespeak, right? It's the Judeo-Christian thing all over again. It's the words are violence thing. It's this leftist, kind of tactic to conflate two things. There's no room for nuance, right? We're going to conflate these two things. Either you criticize everybody, but if you criticize just Israel and you're just making criticism of them, then you're anti-Semitic, right? It's just kind of like muddying the waters nonsense.
World War II. This kind of person is arguing not in good faith, but with specious reasoning for the simple malicious purpose of opposing the Jews. However, Prigine is wrong when she says this simply is the Catholic view and that Catholics must be or are anti-Zionist. We've already seen such...
Well, there was just that statement signed not that long ago, right? Where's that Jerusalem patriarchs of Jerusalem statement? Jerusalem. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Where's that document at? I wish I had that bookmarked. I hate the X lookup tool. It is such trash. Statement, I'll use Google. How about that? Statement of the Jerusalem Patriarchs Zionism. Because this was, there you go. This was, okay, so this was a joint statement here. I'm going to share my screen real quick. This was a joint statement here by the Patriarchs of Jerusalem, which included Cardinal Pizzaballa from the Roman Catholic Church, Coptics, and the Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem as well. But basically, this was a statement in January 17th, so exactly a month ago. This is what Trent is saying is not the Roman Catholic position. Okay, he said, it is not the Roman Catholic position to oppose Zionism. Well, this is the statement by your own leadership in Israel right now. Patriarchs and head of the churches in the Holy Land affirm before the faithful and before the world that the flock of Christ in this land is entrusted to the apostolic churches, ecumenists speak, which has borne their sacred ministry across centuries with steadfast devotion. Recent activities undertaken by local individuals who advance damaging ideologies, such as Christian Zionism. Whoa! Tell Trent Horn this. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I thought he said you could be a Christian Zionist so long as it wasn't like religious or whatever, which is not really even what it's about. It's a political ideology. But who advance damaging ideologies such as Christian Zionism. Cardinal Pizzaballa could be writing about Trent Horn right now. Just saying. These are the heads, this is the, some of your hierarchs. Cardinal Pizzaballa signed off on this. So anyway, local individuals who advance damaging ideologies such as Christian Zionism, mislead the public, sow confusion, and harm the unity of our flock. Whoa. Whoa. Harm the unity of our flock. Christian Zionism misleads the public, sows confusion, and harms the unity of our flock. By the way, the Orthodox Church signed off on this as well, Patriarch of Jerusalem. These undertakings have found favor among certain political actors in Israel. This is a political ideology. And beyond, whoa, wait a minute, who are we talking about? Trent Horn, you're beyond, right? You're one of these people here who seek to push a political agenda which may harm the Christian presence in the Holy Land and the wider Middle East. Whoa, hold on here. So he says that's not the position of the Roman Catholic Church, but the documents your church are signing seem to be contradicting what Trent's pushing here. But let's see what else he has to say.
Papal prudential judgments, as well as the Holy See's own acknowledgement of Israel's legitimacy as a fellow member of the community of nations. But this would not preclude a Catholic from endorsing something like a two-state solution for Palestinians, as Pope Benedict XVI did. The bottom line is that Catholics are not obligated to give the nation of Israel more obedience than any other nation on earth, and their first allegiance should be to God and his church. However, Catholics are permitted to support the existence of a justly administered Jewish homeland in accord with what the Holy See has already set forward in several agreements made over the past few decades. There's a lot more that can be said on this topic, so if you want a solid deep dive on it.
Let's go back to his statement here, because I just want to juxtapose that statement and the document that we just read. So,
this of opposing the Jews. However, Prigine is wrong when she says this simply is the Catholic view and that Catholics must be or are anti-Zionist.
So she's wrong that Catholics must be or are anti-Zionist, but your own documents say Zionism is a damaging ideology. It misleads the public. It sows confusion and harms the unity of our flock. Just saying. All right, well... So we've reacted to quite a few videos today. So I think I'm going to wrap up here. I appreciate everybody watching the video. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the show. Let me know who's live so I can send y'all to another live stream. But while y'all are letting me know who's live, I'm going to go ahead and plug the upcoming shows that'll be popping up on the show this week. So I've got one coming up on the 19th. By the way, not conflicting with Alex Soren's debate. Alex Soren has a debate at 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so make sure you go and support our brother Alex Soren, excellent Orthodox apologist. But I will have Father Ron on the show 7 p.m. Eastern to talk about real presence of the Eucharist and to debunk needgod.net. On the 24th, I will have a journalist from the UOJ on the show to discuss the crisis in Ukraine, the Russian-Ukraine war, and some of the issues that are going on in that situation, and a potential upcoming council. Wait a minute. There might be a council about this stuff. Let's see how that goes out. 26th will be the big date. Mark your calendars for this. Kangman Lee, political commentator, over 100,000 followers on X, was recently on Tim Pool's show. That show got hundreds of thousands of views. It was a couple of days ago. He's going to be coming on my show to talk about his inquiry into Orthodoxy. He's recently attended a divine liturgy, and Jay Dyer is actually going to be joining the show to answer some of his questions about Orthodoxy and talk about why Kangman Lee is taking some steps away from Protestantism, potentially, into Orthodoxy. Hopefully, he's inquiring, at least at this point. So, asking good questions. So that's awesome. Support Kangman Lee and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Who is live right now? Anybody? Nobody posted anything in the chat. All right, let me check it out. Who's live? I'm going to find out. We'll see who we can send y'all to. Redirect. Search from other channels. Who's live? I'm going to pull it up. Any other Orthodox YouTubers live, or who do y'all want me to send you to? Oh, is Buck Johnson's premiere still going? Is that something I can send y'all to? That would be cool. Hey, I can. All right, so I'm going to send y'all to Buck Johnson's show premiere. So I appreciate y'all watching the show. When you get over there, make sure to go subscribe to his channel as well. And thank you so much for watching. God bless.